always remember. We will always be proud. We will always be prepared, so we may be always free.
of that song, Rainy, Rainy?
Night in Georgia. Brooke Benton.
Yeah. Is that Ray Charles?
Brooke Benton, I think.
Brooke Benton? Oh, you're right. I remember when I was a DJ, I used to introduce him as the Babbling Brook. And Brooke Benton had a great voice. He was kind of in that genre music of Lou Rawls.
Yes.
And who would be the other?
Not Barry White. Are you thinking of Barry White?
Ray Charles. Rainy. Anyway, welcome to Breakfast with Roger and Friends. Teri Chamberlain. Good morning to you, Teri.
Good morning.
And also the affable, the lovable, who just got done telling us a joke. And we thought it was John Meisinger. That was it was a funny. As you know, timing is everything.
Timing is everything, and John has no timing this morning.
Yeah, you were a little off.
When you have to explain it,
yeah,
it's bad.
yeah. I know.
And you can't even explain it well.
I was busy over here as I am every morning doing things that I don't know what I'm doing. But anyway, I heard you say that was a joke. And Teri said, really? Oh, where's that?
And I don't blame her. She was very kind.
Yes, she was. She's always very kind. Hey, it was a busy weekend. Teri and I had the honor, and I know you did too, but you
wasn't able to be there.
But we were out at the 182nd Airlift Wing, and celebration of the retirement of Major General. And I didn't know, but Major General is a rank above Brigadier General. I thought Brigadier General was, your next step was General. But he had the title of Major General, which I'd heard the term, but I didn't realize there was...
it sounds very important, and it is.
And he is, and he was.
Good people.
But we had a wonderful time, a lot of humors. One of the speakers, a great guy. I didn't bring the program this morning, dagnabbit, but he was funny, but he was like the Chinese musician on
OTL,
too long. On too long.
Yeah.
But he was funny, and of course, Dan was outstanding. There were tears of joy. There was a lot of laughter, and there were some somber moments as well. But it was a great event. I want to tell you that, as everybody knows who listens regularly, I'm long in tooth and long in years at age 92. And when I pulled up to the guard house, is what we called it in the Army, their military, what do they call the military police in the Air Force?
Military police.
No, that's MP, that's Army.
I thought it was
Navy
all
is
across the board. But
no, well, maybe general in general terms, but military police, the MP, that's the acronym in the Army. In the Navy, it's SP, Shore Patrol.
Oh.
So they have to have a term in the Air Force and see what. Anyway, they said, asked, yes, may we help you? In a big line of cars. I said, we're here for the celebration of General McDonough. Could we see your driver's license? And so I gave my driver's license, I identified, and it took a while for them to give it back. And I thought, why is it taking so long? Well, I found out why a little later on, because I said, now, where do I go? And I said, that's a dangerous thing to ask anyone, because I've heard more than once where you can go. And he told me, and we went to the parking lot, but I couldn't find a place. And I kept getting further away from where the hangar was for the C-130, where they were doing the ceremony. And all of a sudden I heard, woo! And I looked in the rearview mirror, and here's the air police. And the guy pulled up alongside, and he said, sir, follow me, and I'll get you a better place. Wasn't that nice?
No
Yes.
kidding.
What happened was, in my opinion, they looked at the driver's license, and they said, I can't believe this guy is driving a car. And we got literally right near the door leading into the hangar, which is huge. And as you know, it was warm. No, it was hot.
It was
and
hot.
humid. Yeah. Where did you park? Because you're young, you could park in Hannah City and walk there.
I got there quite late. I had to park along the street, do a parallel park, actually.
Oh, wow.
There's one, yeah, and I whipped into that. So I would say about, by measure, maybe 2 blocks away.
No, too bad. You should have gotten into my car on Maxwell Road. But it was a beautiful ceremony. I missed the music. As you know, they dissolved the band,
Right.
Yep.
which was, as good, if not better, than Glenn Miller in World War II. But it was a beautiful ceremony. Got to see, we'll talk a little bit more about it during the program, but some of the past commanding officers, General William Robertson was there with his lovely bride, Sally, who was the register nurse, and also General Frank Razak, a former commanding officer. He was there. And just, Bob Reed, our good friend, regular listener, and big-time official with the Honor Flight. Yeah, he and his family sat behind us. It was just, and part of the General McDonough's remarks included, I'm sorry that John Meisinger and Tracy couldn't make it this afternoon, and people applauded.
Yes, they did. I got sent that little snippet, and
Yeah, that little
I didn't hear the question, but they were all standing and saying, "Finally, you didn't come, didn't show up." So yeah, I felt bad I couldn't be there, but
Yeah.
some things are steps
Well, you
ahead,
had
so-
other things that were going on.
Yeah.
I know, but you had a good time, I'm sure.
Yes. In answer to your question, the military police and the U.S. Air Force are called security forces.
So what do we call them?
SF.
SF.
That's San Francisco. I left my badge. But let me tell you, the guy could not have been nicer.
You got pulled over.
And,
Roger.
yeah, I got pulled over. Yeah.
You did.
I right away, what do you do when you hear a siren?
Your heart skips a
The
beat.
heart starts
Yep.
going like that, and I said, well, there goes AFib. But we had a wonderful time. We got a lot of news, a lot of exciting. There is a story out now about, and you probably know who she is, a woman who I think used to be a contestant and wound up being co-host on Jeopardy.
Oh, yeah, Mayim Bialik.
How do you pronounce it, Mayim?
Mayim Bialik.
Bialik. Well, she took that injection to lose weight, and she wound up in the hospital.
No
and,
way.
had some reaction to it. So
Oh, I see.
I asked Dr. Sidler at 7:15 if he'll talk a little bit about, is that unusual, or some of these drugs that people are taking to lose weight?
Well, she wasn't ever really overweight.
She thought she was, and that's part of the problem. But she said in her narrative, and again, we'll talk more about it later in the program, she has fought weight control most of her life, in addition to depression and some other medical problems. Was she a good co-host or host?
I thought she did okay.
Okay.
She best well known, well, she started out as a child actress in a show called Blossom. And
Oh
then-
yeah, I remember that show.
Yeah, and then she was also
I didn't watch it.
in the movie Beaches.
Yes.
And then her big claim to fame was Amy Farrah Fowler on Big Bang Theory.
Oh
Yes.
of course,
Yeah,
yes.
so that's where she really came back in
Yeah,
the spotlight.
Blossom. She was the star of that show,
Yeah.
wasn't she?
She was?
Yeah.
And
And she was a
that-
little kid.
Yeah,
right?
she was about 6, 7, 8,
Yeah.
somewhere along.
You know, I wonder if these child actors who grow up to be adult actors and actresses, if they don't wind up with some kind of mental issues. Getting fame and fortune as a child is an anomaly, is unusual and rare.
Did it
Am I
affect
right?
you?
No, because I was never a star at anything.
Oh, I don't know. I've heard other things.
Well,
but-
now let me tell you, when I skipped second grade,
there you go.
it was confusing because I left my friends in San Francisco. and it was hard for me. And suddenly I'm with the kids who are a year older. And I think a year older or younger, whatever the case may be,
At that
as a
age.
child can be traumatic, because you don't know, well, what's this about? I don't feel like I'm smarter than my classmates who I left
Is that why
behind.
they skipped you? Because you were smarter?
5 of us.
Okay.
it was a great experiment at Kingman Grade School, and that's what I call it today. And it was not a good decision by them or by my parents,
There you
because
go.
as you know, I did not suffer any repercussions that I know of.
Well, Roger, I think you're okay then. I'm a little worried about you right now, but
I'm worried about me too, for that matter. Well, let's get into things that are relevant to everyone. I tell you what, I'll never understand the technology of that speaker at all. Well, let's start with the check of the weather, brought to you by our friends at Spoon River. Finding the right home care team can be a challenge, as you know, and we've been through that on more than one occasion, but not if you choose Spoon River Home Health. That's a company founded by registered nurses more than 30 years ago. Wonderful people, I don't mind telling you. Susie Platt, I knew her mother, her late mother, wonderful people and very professional when it comes to home health care. So, bottom line, if you or someone you know is in need of loving care in the home, the staff at Spoon River stands ready to meet that need, and you can reach them virtually 24/7 at 309-245-0723. Well, come 7 o'clock, folks, as we talk about the weather, I want to remind you that there will be a flood watch that begins at 7 this morning until 1 a.m. tomorrow morning, and that's no surprise because we've had a lot of rain. We're going to get more rain today with a high of 82, and the showers continue tonight with a low of 70. Tomorrow to be partly sunny and hot, a high of 90 degrees with a heat index of 102. That's tomorrow. Wednesday, sunny, windy, and hotter, up to 92. Thursday, sunny, afternoon showers, a high Thursday of 90 degrees. Friday, we're at 88, and Saturday, 87, with a chance for showers Saturday afternoon. Right now, 72 degrees, and that's your live weather report this morning, which will be updated with our meteorologist, Kyle Varnold, after the 8 o'clock news block. In the meantime, here's Terry.
Our lead story this morning is about Peoria's retiring Major General Daniel McDonough of the United States Air Force. They held a retirement ceremony Saturday afternoon for General McDonough in one of the spacious C-130 hangars at the 182nd Airlift Wing. And the hangar was packed with members and well-wishers along with some military brass past and present, including Illinois Adjutant General Rodney Boyd and former Air Wing Commander General William Robertson and General Frank Razak.
General McDonald was honored for his nearly 40 years of military service that started in 1987 and ended as Assistant Adjutant General of the Illinois Air Guard in Springfield. During that time, listen to this, McDonald totaled McDonough. The total over, let's get the right...
right name, yeah.
He's no clown, by the way.
no, definitely.
Totaled over 5,600 flying hours with close to 700 combat hours in the cockpit of not only a C-130 aircraft, but also the Dragonfly OA-37 and the F-16 fighter jet. That got to be somewhat of a joke, didn't it,
Yes.
Terry, yesterday? We won't go into it because I don't remember everything about it. The native Peorian was deployed 5 times to Iraq as part of Operations Enduring Freedom and 4 times to Bagram Air Base in Afghanistan. And we are proud to say we were invited to attend the ceremony and thank General McDonough for his outstanding service.
Speaking of the Middle East, things are not going well. For the first time in weeks, Iran has resumed military action against Israel as the country continues to block efforts by President Trump to achieve a peace agreement. Israel reports Iran fired a limited number of missiles, which were intercepted. The all-clear was sounded, but schools today have been canceled.
You know, I don't know what the president... the next step is, but I think as it turned out, he made a mistake getting a ceasefire. I know that he hoped that they would reach a peace agreement, but those guys in Iran are real scoundrels, and you can't trust them.
No kidding.
The missile attack that Terry talked about came after Israel allegedly conducted airstrikes against Hezbollah on the outskirts of Beirut, Lebanon. President Trump has urged Israel not to respond, which perhaps signals a widening rift between the president and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
The president had a fun time with left-wing NBC reporter Kristen Welker during an interview over the weekend. She decided to debate Trump, and he ended it with a, "Thank you, darling, have a good time." National media said Trump stormed out of the interview. You can watch it and see on the internet and decide for yourself whether he stormed out.
Yes, I don't know. We were talking earlier about it. He didn't storm out. He got up, actually patted her on the shoulder. She was trying to get him to sit back down, which was kind of stupid on her part. And he got him walked out. Say stormed out. But watch it. Anyway, police are searching for two gunmen who shot at each other, wounding as many as 12 bystanders attending a street festival in Toledo, Ohio, Saturday evening. The festival was canceled. No kidding. Motive for the shooting unknown.
That story.
I know, it's just kind of...
They shot at each other and hit 12 other people?
Yeah. Well, again,
Are
as
they
an
great
example,
aim or what?
these young people that get guns, stolen guns, they have no training. And you pull the trigger on some of these guns, and I'm sure his arm was going up.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
I guess it's the way it sounds. You know, they shot at each other and hit 12
people, yeah. You want to try the target now.
Yeah.
Okay, I give up.
Yeah.
Anyway, thought that was...
Fortunately, no fatalities,
Good.
so that's the good part of the sad story.
Under new mayor John Mamdani, another bizarre scene of violence in New York City. 6 people were stabbed, one seriously, at Penn Station last night. A suspect was apprehended, but no other details have been released by police.
Former Jeopardy host Mayim Bialik, do I pronounce that right, has revealed she suffered serious medical repercussions after taking a single injection of the weight-losing drug GLP-1. That's a real medical term for weight loss. Yeah, the Gloop. The TV host said she had to take IV fluids in response to gastrointestinal symptoms that she called explosive. You could read
Well,
that
all that combination of words puts something, a visual in my mind.
She said she's been challenged for years with depression, and we're going to talk to Dr. Gene Sidler, 7:15 this morning, about whether such weight loss drugs are really safe.
In local news, firefighters from Peoria Heights and Peoria were called to put out a house fire in the 900 block of East Highland Avenue. Faulty electrical wiring was the apparent cause of the fire, which did about $15,000 damage that also caused the resident to find new lodging.
And the folks at Peoria Proud held a celebration in Glen Oak Park yesterday. The Pride Month event brought out a large crowd for the family cookout. It was the 12th annual get-together, and a good time was had by all.
There was also a large turnout for the celebration of the life of Peoria firefighter Zeb Gardner at the Premier Event Center on Dries Lane. His wife and our dear friend Hetty Elliott greeted friends who attended to honor Zeb, who died at the age of 57. He and Hetty are the parents of 4 children. Zeb Gardner graduated from Ridgewood High School and studied fire science at Illinois Central College. He was a member of the Peoria Fire Department for 30 years. Our condolences to Hetty and her family.
5 students and an adult from a middle school in Ford County suffered minor injuries while traveling on a Peoria charter coach bus on a trip to Washington, D.C. The Peoria bus was rear-ended by another bus in the state of Maryland. And Peoria County officials cut the ribbon on the newly open courthouse grounds over the weekend. The beautiful surroundings complement the courthouse with the renovations that included water fountains, and our good friend Phil Salzer, county board member, who has chosen not to seek re-election from District 8. He took my place when I retired in sometime in 2000. I forget what it was there to help cut the ribbon. Now, you used to meet at the courthouse, but now the Peoria Regional Office of Education is on Sheridan Road.
That's correct, where the old health department is. The health department's still there. but it's a new building with the coroner's office and the
Did
Bureau
they
Regional
demolish
office.
the old?
Yes, they tore down
building?
the old. This one is an all brand new, state of the art.
That's what I understand.
It's beautiful. So.
All right, that's a look at some of the stories we're following. We have more news brought to you this morning by Kathy Reynolds of Home Smart. You know, this is a great time to start your next buying of a home, and Realtor Kathy Reynolds, eager to help you search the marketplace. Kathy experienced and has helped countless couples, families, and individuals find their dream home. She's available to discuss the exciting opportunities at 309-696-2162. That's 309-696-2162. Now more news from WCBU.
From the WGLT Newsroom, good morning. I'm Ryan Denham. Republican Congressman Darren LaHood voted against the recent War Powers Act resolution in the House requiring an end to the war in Iran. That's even though LaHood has repeatedly said he wants the war to wind down. LaHood implies the measure joined by several Republicans was not necessary because the conflict is close to an end.
We will have a resolution here shortly. We'll have the Straits of Hormuz open, and we'll have an agreement.
LaHood's opponent in November is taking him to task for the vote. Democrat Paul Nolly says working people are paying the price for the war in higher fuel costs, fertilizer prices, and uncertainty when they can afford it least. East Peoria Mayor John Call says the city's economic growth is progressing even better than expected. Call points to the success of the recently opened residential side of the Bluetown mixed-use project next to City Hall as one major indicator.
A lot of people question, really, rentals, high-end luxury apartments? There's no demand for that. Absolutely wrong. That place is almost filled already.
Call says the Bluetown developers are committed to a second phase along Center Street, and the city has a lot more in the works. He says they're pursuing a yet undisclosed unique business for the vacant Granite City restaurant building that's next to the new Hampton Inn. Peoria's Sister City program is marking a milestone and looking for its next generation. Last week, the city celebrated 50 years of partnership with Friedrichshafen, Germany. Patrick Raisler chairs the Peoria Sister City Commission and has chaperoned the youth exchange program for years. He says what students always bring back is the same.
They come back with messages about how similar we are. We may have bigger refrigerators in the United States than they do in Germany, but when it comes down to it, teenagers are teenagers, and they form quite close bonds.
This summer, 3 Peoria teenagers will make that trip to Germany, organizers looking for more families to get involved. And elected officials in Logan County are slamming the state's decision to officially close the Logan Correctional Center in Lincoln. The Illinois Department of Corrections has announced it will relocate the aging all-women's facility to Will County. That move has been in the works for several years. You can find more news at WCBU.org. I'm Ryan Denham.
All right, Ryan, thank you kindly. I don't blame the people in Logan. Logan County, and basically in Lincoln, Illinois, they've closed a facility for children years ago. That cost hundreds of jobs, and now they're doing it again, moving it up to near Chicago. So you can see downstate is second in line, maybe third in line for that matter. Anyway, let's, speaking of third in line for Cubs. Yeah. No, I was talking about the Cubs. And you're not even a Cub fan. You're a Cardinal fan.
Yes, I am.
So they blew it again. I don't know if that's your lead story.
No,
but,
definitely not.
Okay,
because,
sorry.
Because we were talking horse racing over the weekend.
Oh, yes.
So
and who won? I think Mike Dentino won again, didn't he?
He ran very well.
Yes, I know.
For a guy from
well,
Lincoln.
he doesn't have any hair. So, hair, don't they swim? You know about it, you're a swim coach. Don't swimmers shave their hair because it slows them down?
On their body. Yes, they do. For big meets, but
yeah.
Now they have swimsuits that kind of cover that whole thing up. So you'll see
Do they really?
guys that are wearing suits that look like dive suits more now.
And they do. I would think adding some clothing like, they're almost like rubberized, are they not?
Well,
but is it so thin?
Well, here's what they call them. They call them paper suits.
Okay.
Because they're made out of very, very thin material.
Material?
So, yes.
How about, and does it cover their head?
No. Sometimes they'll wear caps.
Yeah, they
You'll see
do.
them
I
wear
have
caps
seen
all the time,
swimmers
yes.
wear Yeah.
But,
I do that. I wear that when I take a shower.
Do you?
Yeah.
That's good.
Because I want to protect
don't
what
wanna get
hair I
that-
do
you
have.
don't want
Yeah.
the rest of that washing down the drain, do you?
Yeah.
I know I watched mine. There goes another one.
You know, it would be such a thrill to take a shower and see hair going down the drain. Yeah. And if it is, it's probably from my dog.
Well, that's true too. So, especially if it's long and blonde, right? Yes. Okay. Well, I won't go there.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and talk. I've got June 1st report here, so I'll just reread that from last week. Okay, if that's okay, because I forgot to do yesterday's. But let's go now. In all seriousness aside, under overcast skies and sudden deluge of rain, Grade 1 Kentucky Derby winner Golden Tempo shone brightest down the stretch of the Saratoga course as he charged through the wire at 1 1/4 length. The winner of Saturday's Grade 1 $2 million Belmont Stakes presented by NYRA Bets. Contested for the third and final time in the 10 furlong around the historic upstate New York Oval. Next year, the Belmont Stakes will return to its Long Island home at a new and reimagined Belmont Park. There you go. And did you watch the race?
No, I did not.
Okay, just a Kentucky Derby girl, huh?
No, I had another commitment. I was at.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Okay.
We
Well,
were
I didn't
at
watch
this.
it either. So
We were at
yeah,
the
all right, you're
ceremony,
right,
so
you're right.
we didn't make it.
Okay, I should have known that. I wonder where I would have heard that this morning, but I did hear it. In any case, yeah, I heard that there was $116 million bet at the racetrack that day. That's a lot of money
That's a lot of
going.
money.
And we are having such a terrible economy.
Yeah, it's awful.
Yeah.
That's why people can't afford to go to the racetrack.
Yeah.
Bet millions of dollars.
Yeah, that's right. There's just seems somewhat of a contradiction of information.
Well, speaking of contradictions, the Chicago Bears have reached a definite decision to relocate from their longstanding home in Illinois to Hammond, Indiana.
Do you think it's cast in concrete?
I would say it's pretty secure.
You know, interesting because I heard a report out of Chicago that they still have some. This thing really, speaking of the word botch, this has really been botched by the governor because early on he said, we will not use any taxpayer. The Bears are not going to get any breaks. And then he changed his position because he knew that the economic impact is going to be significant with the Bears in Indiana.
Right. Well, it's 17 miles away. That's how far they're moving, 17 miles. So it's actually closer than the other Arlington Heights. Were they going to Arlington Heights?
Arlington Heights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but the thing is, it's all money that's going into Indiana.
In Indiana, yeah.
Which is a great move by
Yeah.
the state legislature.
Yeah, but keep in mind, we've talked about this before, some of the New York teams are actually performing in New Jersey.
Oh yeah. Well, but that and it's okay. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think
Well, it's a
I
bad
think
thing
it's a
for
bad
Illinois.
thing for Illinois.
Yeah, but
that's
a great
all.
thing for
A
Indiana.
great thing for the Bears, maybe,
Yeah, well, we'll
because they're
find
going to
out.
get a lot of breaks.
And it'll still be the Chicago Bears.
Sure, it won't matter, and they'll still be the same team they always
Yes,
are.
exactly right.
Well, this decision comes in the wake of local lawmakers' inability to pass a legislative bill that would have provided essential incentives for the team to remain in the state. In other words, give them some money. The
Yes.
announcement regarding the strategic move was made public on Friday, followed by a vote by the Bears Board of Directors in the matter of the previous day. The decision underscores the ongoing challenges faced by sports franchises in negotiating favorable conditions with local governments, particularly in the terms of financial support and infrastructure improvements. So,
Yeah.
lot on the line there, and you know,
Well, you know, Illinois is one of the leading states behind California and New York of the number of people leaving the state. So it only makes sense that the Bears join the transition of
Yeah.
leaving the state of Illinois.
let's just go.
Let's get on the
Let's
bus.
go east 17 miles, southeast, and we'll be happy there, just as happy as we are at Soldier Field. But, you know, I also heard PepsiCo is going out of the state of Illinois.
Really?
Yeah, and that's a big
company,
big
yeah.
company as well. So-
Again, we're one of the leading states in the nation for taxes.
Yep.
Have among the highest price for gas, and but not as high as I like to repeat this in January of 2022. No war, but gas was average over $5. We're not there yet,
Not there yet.
even with the war.
That's correct. And I don't think we'll be there forever. I think it will go. In fact, it's gone down.
It has
Yeah, it has. Yeah,
little
it has
bit
been
over the
going.
weekend,
Gas
so-
Buddy said a week ago gas prices would go up even higher, and they were dead wrong.
Yeah, well, I
Let's
think
hope the trend continues.
that's correct. In Major League Baseball yesterday, the Phillies beat the White Sox 9-5. The Giants beat the Cubs 2-1 in extra innings. I think it was only in the 10th inning, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe you're correct,
Right.
Senator.
The Cardinals beat the Reds 5-3. The Yankees over the Red Sox 6-1. That's always a big rivalry. Braves beat the Pirates 3-2, and the Brewers decided they were going to use up all their runs in one game. They beat the Rockies 12-4. Peoria Chiefs starter Jacob Odell struck out 8 batters, and Cade McGee backed him up with a 2-run home run effort as the Chiefs shut out the Skyharp for the 5th consecutive Skycarp, not Skyharp. For the 5th consecutive victory in a 5-0 effort Saturday night at Dozer Park. I'll get I looked last night and I didn't have the results of the second game yesterday. So I'll get that before the hour's over. The Chiefs travel to South Bend to take on the Cubs for 6 games starting tomorrow at 6:05 p.m. So
The Chiefs are playing the Cubs?
yes, they are. The Cubbies at South Bend.
Oh, okay.
It's South Bend, not
Well,
Hammond.
you know what?
Yeah, not
They might be able to beat the Cubs the way they're playing.
Well, no, I don't know. The Cubs, they had a win streak going. One.
And then
Yeah, well, they've done
then
10,
they have-
and then they
Yeah.
lost 10.
Yes.
And then they won 10. They can't get on the gravy train for all the wins anyway. Okay, I'll keep going here because, I'm out of time.
No, you
Let's-
can take your time. We've got
take-
2.5 more hours to fill.
Lynn Anderson, a proven program builder with head coaching success, has a strong background in player development, and has been named the 13th head coach of Bradley University softball team.
Really?
So yes. Vice President for Intercollegiate Athletics, Dr. Chris Reynolds, who we know, announced that. Anderson arrives at Bradley after serving as assistant at SIUE over the last 2 seasons. She helped the Cougars rise to the top of nearly every offensive and defensive category in the Ohio Valley Conference play. They went from bad to great.
You know, the sad part is they don't play at Bradley Park anymore. They had a nice diamond number 2 at Bradley Park, right across from Hunt's Drive-In. I think
Right.
when they closed Hunt's Drive-In, did that ruin
Yeah, because
softball? Yeah.
you couldn't go over there and get a chocolate soda
Yeah.
after the game.
Do you remember, seriously, as a kid, either one of you, going to Hunt's Drive-In? And I was a Kirby there for a couple of
was
years.
you?
That was me, yeah. I had a car that left a $5 tip for me one night. I looked for that car every night, and I guarantee you...
That was a big deal.
Yeah, the guy never came back. I think he did it to impress his girlfriend.
That's okay.
I don't know whether it worked
Impressed
on
you,
her,
didn't
but
it?
it worked on me.
Oh, well, hey, but I used to go down there all the time. Great place.
It was. I look back on it, as it turns out, Gordon Hunt, Mr. Hunt's son, lived in Wardcliff later on, so I knew Gordon and his wife. And I'll never forget, I've told this story before, but it's been a long time ago, so I don't think I'll bore people, but they had a swinging door to where you took your order. And when you picked up the order, you ran, and you had to run. They said, run, get it in there real quick. And I would run and push open the door and go to the kitchen, turn the order in, and then you could walk out of the door. Well, anyway, I had, what was the most ordered thing on the menu?
Tenderloin?
No.
No?
The chocolate
Double
okay.
soda.
Yes.
And I had 2 chocolate sodas on the tray. Now, you don't run with those, okay? And I went to those swinging doors just as a kid was coming into the building. He knocked me on my butt. The chocolate sodas went everywhere, including on me, and I'm on the floor when out of the kitchen comes Mr. Hunt.
Oh, no.
And he looked at me. Now, what was the chief competitor of Hunt's Drive-In? Kramer's Drive-In
Oh, up on the hill.
on Western, yeah. And he looked at me on the floor, and he said, where the hell do you think you're working, Kramer's? Now, that was insulting to a 14, 15-year-old kid and I said, well, now wait, and he just continued walking like, I'll leave you the,
Yeah,
it's kind of like,
it can't be the first time that ever happened there.
well, it was the first time and only time it happened to me.
you.
Kind of reminded me of Donald Trump getting up at the NBC reporter and
Storming
saying,
out?
have a nice, have a good time, darling. I think he called her darling. Mr. Hunt did not call me
No,
darling.
and he wouldn't call you darling.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Anyway, back to sports.
Well, let's just go ahead and finish this up.
Yes, I'm
this
sorry
hour.
for the
Thousands
interruption.
of runners and spectators crowded the downtown Peoria streets on Saturday for the 52nd Steamboat Classic road races. Streets were closed for half the day on a warm and humid Saturdays as runner serpentined through the street. You like that word? Yeah. Event coordinator said that this year's run was made easier because of the change of several downtown thoroughfares from one-way to two-way. That's not true. I just put that in there, but it sounded.
Well, it's your script. It sounded good in rehearsal.
And finally, a local electrician was arrested today for installing faulty wiring at several high-end homes. His customers were shocked. Back to you, Roger and Terry.
No, I don't want it.
Come on, man.
You never know. You know, I don't want you to get the big head over this. I have more people that say how much they enjoy not your sports.
Thank Kathy for me, please. Definitely not the sports. I can't even read the Sky Harps.
But see now, in broadcasting, you just keep going.
Yes.
Because I didn't notice. Did you notice he made a mistake? Well, you listen with a educated eye and ear, and nothing I have is educated. Neither my eye, ear, or my nose.
I don't believe
or
that.
my big mouth, for that matter. Anyway, that was sports and then some with sit-down comedian John Meisinger.
You get two more times with that.
All right, let's bring you up to date with our news this morning. Well, hometown news coming up with Terry Chamberlain, so stand by. Brought to you by Advanced Medical Transport, Central Illinois. The men and women of AMT have been saving lives since 1991 with paramedics and EMTs, and you know that this great life-saving organization serves 65 communities with 54,000 emergency calls a year. It's amazing. When seconds count, you can count on Advanced Medical Transport of Central Illinois. And when it comes to news, you can count on Terry Chamberlain with the latest. Good morning, Terry.
Good morning. Our first story this morning is about Peoria's retiring Major General Daniel McDonough of the United States Air Force. They held a retirement ceremony Saturday afternoon for General McDonough in one of the spacious C-130 hangars at the 182nd Airlift Wing. General McDonough was honored for his years of military service that started in 1987 and ended as Assistant Adjutant General of the Illinois Air Guard in Springfield. During that time, McDonough totaled over 5,600 flying hours, with close to 700 combat hours in the cockpit of not the C-130 aircraft, but also, not only the C-130 aircraft, but also the Dragonfly OA-37 and the F-16 fighter jet. The native Peorian was deployed 5 times to Iraq as part of Operations Enduring Freedom and 4 times to Bagram Air Base in Afghanistan. Speaking of the Middle East, things are not going well. For the first time in weeks, Iran has resumed military action against Israel as the country continues to block efforts by President Trump to achieve a peace agreement. Israel reports Iran fired a limited number of missiles, which were intercepted. The all-clear was sounded, but schools today have been canceled. The missile attack came after Israel allegedly conducted airstrikes against Hezbollah on the outskirts of Beirut, Lebanon. President Trump has urged Israel not to respond, which perhaps signals a widening rift between Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Police are searching for 2 gunmen who shot at each other, wounding as many as 12 bystanders attending a street festival in Toledo, Ohio, Saturday evening. The festival was canceled. Motive for the shooting, unknown. Former Jeopardy host Mayim Bialik has revealed she suffered serious medical repercussions after taking a single injection dose of the weight-losing drug GLP-1. The TV host said she had to take IV fluids in response to gastrointestinal symptoms she called explosive. Bialik said she has also been challenged for years with depression. We're going to talk with Dr. Jean Sidler at 7:15 this morning about whether such weight loss drugs really are safe. In local news, firefighters from Peoria Heights and Peoria were called to put out a house fire in the 900 block of East Highland Avenue. Faulty electrical wiring was the apparent cause of the fire, which did about $15,000 damage, but also caused the resident to find new lodging. Peoria Proud held a celebration in Glen Oak Park yesterday. The Pride Month event brought out a large crowd for the family cookout. It was the 12th annual get-together. There was also a large turnout for the celebration of the life of Peoria firefighter Zeb Gardner at the Premier Event Center on Dries Lane. His wife and our dear friend Hetty Elliott greeted friends who attended to honor Zeb, who died at the age of 57. He was a member of the Peoria Fire Department for 30 years. Our condolences to Hetty and her family. And those are the headlines, Roger.
Thank you kindly, and let's have a check of the weather this morning, and it's brought to you by our friends at Hometown Community Banks, Division of Morton Community Bank, 50 branches throughout central Illinois to serve you. You look for the Collect Tower, and you'll know they have time for you. Member FDIC. We have a flood watch that begins at about 17 minutes from now, around 7 o'clock. I guess that's when they ring the bell, and
Yeah, okay. They get
the sun watch. The what is it, Roger? The flood watch begins at 7 this morning until 1 a.m. tomorrow morning. And that's because we're getting a lot of rain. We've gotten a lot of rain, more rain today with a high of 82. Showers continue overnight, low of 70. Tomorrow, partly sunny and hot, 90 with a heat index of 102. That means it's hot, then hotter. Wednesday, sunny, windy, and up to 92 on Wednesday. Thursday, sunny with afternoon showers, a high Thursday 90. Friday is going to be 88, and Saturday 87 with a chance for showers Saturday. Currently, our temperature 72 degrees, and it's very humid.
Very.
I thought Saturday was the hottest day of the year because it was hot and humid, and I worried when we went, Teri, out to the airport, knowing it was going to be in a hangar and knowing they don't have air conditioners in hangars, but it was cool. It was very comfortable.
It was very comfortable.
Yeah.
And remember, not 2 years ago, but the very first time we went, when he was promoted from lieutenant colonel
It was
up to
warm.
general, very warm. And
It
remember,
was.
somebody collapsed.
Right.
Yes, and I think it was the general.
No, it was one of the, because the troops stand back there for the entire time, and the one, I think it was a young girl
Oh, really?
that
It was
collapsed.
very, very
Now,
warm.
this time it was comfortable in there.
Well, I think the weather has been cool, so they haven't had all that heating of that hangar because they tend to get a little bit on the warm side.
Something that I didn't realize until it was mentioned, the members of the 182nd Airlift Wing behind where we were sitting were standing the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, for an hour plus.
A little over an hour. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And but having said that, overall, I thought I was comfortable. I don't know about you.
No, I was too, and I had it was a long sleeve thing, but I pushed it up to 3/4, but still, I mean, I was not sitting there in a sleeveless top, but I was
Right.
comfortable.
Yeah.
Were you in a suit coat?
No, I dressed casually, knowing two things, that it was going to be warm,
Yeah.
and I dressed for the occasion.
Good for you.
And I
You got your Griffin on today, too, don't you?
Yes. This is for my grandson, who's assistant baseball coach at Missouri State North or West
Well, I know they
whatever,
got every
you know.
direction down in
Yeah,
Missouri, don't
yeah.
they? Yeah, but I think
They
that
have more
was their
state
theme.
universities in Missouri than most people have public schools in Chicago.
But either way, that's a good-looking shirt. But
Well,
Yeah,
thank
I
you.
like the
With that
Griffin.
nice
Yes.
Griffin,
My
very sharp.
daughter-in-law, Christopher's mother, buys out their sporting goods store wherever. I have more state I feel like, what show was it that the actor from Bloomington used to wear different college
McLean
sweatshirts?
Stevenson usually.
Yeah, he would
MASH.
change.
MASH, yeah.
Yeah, he didn't. I think one year he had Illinois a sweatshirt on for Illinois.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah, but he went to ISU, did he not?
I don't know. Did he?
I think he
I
did.
think he did.
Is he still alive?
No.
No. He was a funny guy.
Yes, he was.
Well, welcome to this portion of Breakfast with Roger and Friends. I do want to spend a little time mentioning I went to the celebration of the life of Zeb Gardner, who was married to Hetty Elliott, Royce's daughter. And I only met Zeb, I think, once or twice. And neat guy, 30 years with the Peoria Fire Department. 57 is just too young, and our condolences to Hetty. She was having a very difficult time, and I understand that. God bless her. I've known Hetty and the Elliott family for many, many years, and have nothing but great praise for them. One large packed crowd. I'd never been in the Premier Event Center. The official name, I guess, is Event and Entertainment Center. Do you know where it is there on Drees Lane?
It's what used to be
Yeah.
the Poison Apple. You probably wouldn't know
Well,
that, but
no,
it's
well,
is
that where it was?
It's across from Landmark,
Yes,
right?
that is
Right.
correct.
Yeah, that's the old Poison Apple.
That used to be the Poison Apple.
Yeah.
Nice venue, very nice. And they had some refreshments and food that was very, very good, and they kept replenishing it. But, you know, there's a couple of advantages for going. The first and foremost, of course, is to pay your respects to the loss of a loved one and your sympathies and empathetic feelings for members of the family, in this case, Hetty and their 4 children. But you also wind up running into people you haven't seen, including complete strangers. I had a gentleman by the name of Ron Tyler say, "You're Roger Monroe," and I said, "Depends on who's asking and why. And as long as you're not with any law enforcement agency,
Or the IRS.
I am guilty. Otherwise, my name is John Meisinger."
There you go.
And,
That'll get you places.
And I found that on more than one occasion, particularly at Holiday Inn. But anyway, no, I'm just joking.
You're going to get him in trouble.
I know it. I know.
Again.
Not me. I don't care.
Yeah,
John is
that's
the
true.
one that has
You're
to
right.
worry about it. But anyway, Ron, neat guy, and he works for a. In getting acquainted with him, and Kathy was with me, and she was fascinated by Ron in that he works for an agency called Family Core. Now,
Right.
are you familiar with
Yes.
Family Core?
Yes.
Well, good for you. What was its name before it became Family Core?
That I don't know.
Counseling and Family Services.
Okay.
And I used to be on the board of that agency that deals with children.
Right.
And Ron's going to be a guest on our program because he starts putting out information, facts, and figures about foster kids and the need for placement. And the number of foster children is staggering, absolutely staggering. And it was, like I said, I had no idea. When I went there, I would sit down, and next thing you know, here Ron comes over and introduces himself. And we talked and talked and talked. And then Jerry Listenby. Do you know Jerry
of course
Listenby?
I do, yeah.
What's his brother's name? Is it Jimmy or
No.
And I apologize because
I apologize
I
too, 'cause
forgot,
I
but
know
I remember
he's a
Jerry.
firefighter as well.
Yes,
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
Well said. And also had Listenby Ace
Hardware, right.
on McClure.
Yep.
And we had a wonderful conversation. So, you know, at these events, you not only do what I indicated, pay your condolences and your sympathies and so forth, but you wind up meeting people and seeing people you haven't seen for years at those kinds of friendly gatherings
Did
for a good cause.
did Mr. Taylor recognize your voice, and that's how he knew who you were, or did somebody point you out? I mean, because I know this isn't televised, but it is on YouTube. I mean, he just walked up and said, "That must be Roger Monroe."
You know that.
Or were you wearing a shirt that said, "I'm Roger"? Or
Yeah, that's right.
Tim Lisenby.
Yes, Virginia
Tim.
says, yeah, she just sent it.
Thank you,
Tim is his
Virginia.
brother's name. Thanks,
Tim.
Virginia.
Yeah.
Nice guy, and he was walking around saying hi to everybody. I will tell you, funerals or programs, celebration of lives, have a purpose, obviously, and we know what that purpose is. But you wind up, the passing of Zeb brought together people in the community for a common cause. And it's about, in my estimation, what I saw and experienced yesterday was a wonderful celebration of not only the life of Zeb, but our community, and what a great gathering of people it was.
It's a good tribute for who Zeb was.
Who he was,
That's
right.
correct. Yeah.
And I might add, people of all ages were there. Young, old, in between, elderly like me.
What did you do for that age curve? Did it
Really screwed it up. Yeah,
bounce up just a little bit? Yeah.
Well,
We have a
going
tendency to
back,
do that.
going back to the security forces at the Air National Guard,
Well, that
they
helped.
looked at that, my driver's license, said, "This guy is sitting up. He wasn't. He wasn't laying down."
You still have the
Yeah.
paper driver's license too?
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Got staple marks in it from your speeding tickets?
No, no. You know, I don't mind telling you, and I could challenge it a little bit, but I have to take a driver's license every year. I'd like to see them make that mandated for kids 17, 18 until you're 21. You know, you can't drink until you're 21, but you can drive a damn car foolishly, recklessly if you're 17. Actually, what, a driver's permit at 15? Is
Yeah.
that what it is?
Right.
But they have to have an adult in the car, right?
Right.
Because I'm going back to my time, it was you had to have someone on another horse when
Yeah.
you went to town on the Jackass that my family had.
Well, that's
Because I remember my
the
dad.
old Edsel, right?
I remember my dad referring to me as a
Well,
jackass.
you know, hey, what son
And we
hasn't gotten
did-
that abuse?
And we didn't have one in the barn. Has any of your parents ever said, I once thought about owning a farm? My dad did that. He was raised somewhat on a barn and raised on a farm.
If you'd have kept going, nobody would have known, Roger.
Yeah, I know.
A lot of good people have been raised in a barn.
The other thing, one thing I do remember growing up, the old saying, "Close the door, were you raised in a barn?"
That's true.
You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
All the time.
At any rate, I've lost my train of thought.
It derailed.
We just had a wonderful time seeing people and greeting people, and again, our condolences to
Absolutely.
Eddie and her children.
What a
Did you
wonderful
say you
family.
did meet Zeb? Did you
I
mention?
met
Yeah.
him once.
Okay.
Yes, one time.
One of the occasions in which I met him was he had a day off and he drove Royce to a gig. Royce did not like driving, and I'll tell you a funny story. I can't remember the guy's name. That he went to Creighton University, played tennis for Creighton University, and he was a bank teller, and they have a rock monument in his honor in Glen Oak Park. Virginia, if you can help me out on what his name was. I can see him. He was as bald as I am, or you are, for that matter. But he would drive, and he was driving Royce to some gig, and Royce noticed that he was crowding that center lane on a two-lane highway. And Royce questioned him one day. Royce is telling me the story. He said, I noticed that you seem to drive very close to that yellow line. And he said, and Roy said, why are you, that's kind of dangerous. He said, well, I don't want to drive off the side of the road. So I hug that center line more. And Roy said to him, what if the driver coming in the opposite direction had the same attitude? And he said, I'll get out of the way. And Roy said, you may not have time to get out of the way.
That's a little scary.
Yeah.
That would be.
At any rate, well, what did you do over the weekend? Enough about what Terry and I did over the weekend.
Well, I did a lot of nothing over the weekend, but no. My grandson.
Did you watch soccer?
No,
we
didn't have any sporting events this weekend, which is really unusual.
By the way, did I see on television this morning on one of the national sports networks that the USA soccer team lost 2 games, one 2-1 and another one.
I haven't started following
These
the
were
World Cup yet.
Well, these are
because it's
preliminary
these are prelim games,
yes,
to get your seeding where you're going to be seeded in the rest of the tournament. So I haven't paid any attention to it.
Because most of your weekends and weeks are filled with going to
sports
events,
and all kinds of different things. But my oldest grandson's getting married in fact a little less than 3 weeks, Keegan. And so his fiance, my family had a shower. I wasn't involved in it, but my girls and my wife, they had a shower for her, and so that kind of took up a little bit of time, but also making sure everything got there and those types of things. I take no credit for anything other than my wife being there. I was able to get her to the shower on time.
Okay.
But you were asking about. I had no sporting events this weekend.
So you took a breather.
Took a breather. Grandson Shane went down and played golf in Alton at one of the tournaments down there, so he could qualify for other tournaments around the area.
Well, good for him.
But over the last week, I think he got 6th or 7th place in the prep tour tournament.
Wow.
It's high school kids, some of the better ones in the state. And, he's going to be a sophomore, so he's playing to his ability right now, I think. So, but other than that, it was quiet. I put up a pergola on our back deck.
Ooh.
Yes, and over the week, and it was quite a task. And the neighbors learned a little bit more about me than I wanted them to, because they learned that my power tools work on cussing. And
yeah, isn't it amazing how they finally start functioning after you've had a few words
with them?
Yeah,
now, listen, buddy.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that was. I was kind of worn out, so I needed a little bit of a break. But we had, like you said, that stuff was all going on at the same time that the general was being initiated or retiring.
Retiring.
Yes.
Yeah.
Be careful with those power tools. I hate to tell you the story, but my son and his wife visited over the weekend, told me a grisly story about an incident that happened with the family that they knew, that a guy had a power saw and lost control of it and literally cut his arm off. And people that were there knew exactly what to do and immediately
Put a tourniquet on?
Put a tourniquet on. Doctors later said you saved his life. We're not sure we're going to save the arm, but you saved his life by what you did, because I won't go into the graphic details that he did, but those instruments are great labor-saving devices, but boy, they can be extremely dangerous on how you do it, for the matter. Well,
you didn't ask Terry what she was doing.
No, he knew what I did.
I knew what she was doing.
You were together.
Yes.
The weekend.
Well, no, Kathy and I met her out at the airport. Unfortunately,
I didn't mean anything nefarious.
well, I'm not sure that's such a big word to use on our show. That's
I
saying
understand.
nefarious.
Look it up.
News, weather, sports coming up next, and we're going to learn about weight loss. You know, of all the books that have been written, the subject most published in book form is what? Diet book. So I'm working on a diet book, and it'll be 8 pages, and they'll all be blank. Remember when somebody, years ago, somebody at Christmas time came out with a book, and or was it that the political book about the life of Kamala Harris?
Yeah, all the accomplishments of Kamala Harris.
And it was empty pages. Remember that?
Yeah, that was
think
2
it
years
lasted-
ago.
It wasn't that long ago.
Well, it was when the election,
Stay tuned. You're having breakfast with Roger and Friends on WAZU FM 90.7 in Peoria, Illinois, and also on YouTube. You don't have to go to the store and get an application. You just click on Roger and Friends LS. Lucky Strike means fine tobacco. You remember that, LSMFD? Yeah. Stay tuned. Pleasant good morning, everybody. It's a beautiful, rainy, and humid Monday morning, but it's the 8th of June, and we start with a check of the weather brought to you by Mr. Weather himself, who will be joining us, Kyle Varnold. He's with Fortner Insurance. You know, he's an insurance professional, and he can help you lower your rates and give you great coverage for home, auto, life, and health. And you can reach him today at 309-682-0519, 682-0519. And it's official now, let's make it official, that we have now a flood watch until 1 a.m. tomorrow morning, because it's raining and pouring. The old man is snoring.
I'm pulling up my pants right now.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I mean, my lower
High water.
leg of my pants.
Yeah,
I'm
be
sorry.
careful,
High
yeah.
water.
When you were growing up, either one of you, did you have special yellow coats or anything that made you more
Waterproof.
aware? Yeah, yeah.
A raincoat.
Yeah.
We used to call it a raincoat.
Yeah, a
Yes,
raincoat.
I had a
yeah.
raincoat.
Yep. And galoshes for snow and wet weather.
I thought that was what you ate for.
That's goulash.
That was goulash.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Goulash.
Well, in my family, we were eating galoshes, but anyway, that's silly.
You boil the shoe like they used to
Yeah,
in the old movies.
exactly. In the old movies, you're right. Rain today until tonight, and there'll be more rain tonight. The high today 82, the low overnight 70. Tomorrow partly sunny and hot. We're up to 90 degrees and a heat index of 102. That's tomorrow. Wednesday sunny, windy, and 92. Thursday sunny with afternoon showers. The high Thursday 90 degrees. We're up to 88 on Friday, and Saturday it'll be around 87. Chance for showers Saturday, by the way. And currently our temperature at 73 degrees. Now let's get into the news with our lead story. Here's Terry.
Well, the lead story this morning is about Peoria's retiring Major General Daniel McDonough of the United States Air Force. They held a retirement ceremony Saturday afternoon for General McDonough in one of the spacious C-130 hangars at the 182nd Airlift Wing. And the hangar was packed with members and well-wishers, along with some military brass, past and present, including Illinois Adjutant General Rodney Boyd and former Air Wing Commander General William Robertson and General Frank Razak.
General McDonough was honored for his many years, close to 40 years of military service. Started in 1987 and ended as Assistant Adjutant General of the Illinois Air Guard in Springfield. That covers the entire state of Illinois. During that time, his career in the Air Force, he totaled over 5,600 flying hours with close to 700 combat hours in the cockpit of not only the C-130 aircraft, but also the Dragonfly OA-37 and F-16 fighter jet as a pilot. The native Peorian was deployed 5 times to Iraq as part of Operations Enduring Freedom and 4 times to the Bagram Air Base in Afghanistan. And we're proud to say we were invited to attend the ceremony, and we thank General McDonough for his outstanding service on behalf of the people of the United States.
Speaking of the Middle East, things are not going well. For the first time in weeks, Iran has resumed military action against Israel as the country continues to block efforts by President Trump to achieve a peace agreement. Israel reports Iran fired a limited number of missiles, which were intercepted. The all-clear was sounded, but schools today have been canceled.
The missile attack came after Israel allegedly conducted airstrikes against Hezbollah on the outskirts of Beirut, Lebanon. President Trump has urged Israel not to respond, which perhaps signals a widening rift between Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
The president had a fun time with left-wing NBC reporter Kristen Welker during an interview over the weekend. She decided to debate Trump, and he ended it with a, "Thank you, darling. Have a good time." National media said Trump stormed out of the interview. You can watch it on the internet and decide for yourself whether he really stormed out.
No, another gross exaggeration by the media. In other news, police are searching for 2 gunmen who shot at each other, wounded as many as 12 bystanders who were attending a street festival in Toledo, Ohio. It happened Saturday evening. The festival was canceled. Motive for the shooting unknown.
Under new mayor Zohan Mamdani, another bizarre scene of violence in New York City. 6 people were stabbed, one seriously, at Penn Station last night. A suspect was apprehended, but no other details have been released by police.
Former Jeopardy host Mayim Bialik has revealed she suffered serious medical repercussions after taking a single injection of the weight-losing drug GLP-1. The TV host said she had to take IV fluids in response to gastrointestinal symptoms, which she called explosive. Bialy said she has also been challenged for years with depression. And we're going to talk to Dr. Gene Sidler in a few minutes about whether such weight loss drugs are really safe.
In local news, firefighters from Peoria Heights and Peoria were called to put out a house fire in the 900 block of East Highland Avenue. Faulty electrical wiring was the apparent cause of the fire, which did about $15,000 damage. That also caused the resident to find new lodging.
And the Peoria Proud community held a celebration in Glen Oak Park yesterday. The Pride Month event brought out a huge crowd for the family cookout. It was the 12th annual get-together.
There was also a large turnout for the celebration of the life of Peoria firefighter Zeb Gardner at the Premier Event Center on Dries Lane. His wife and our dear friend Hetty Elliott greeted friends who attended to honor Zeb, who died at the age of 57. He and Hetty are the parents of 4 children. Zeb Gardner graduated from Ridgewood High School and studied fire science at Illinois Central College. He was a member of the Peoria Fire Department for 30 years. Our condolences to Hetty and her family.
5 students and an adult from middle school in Ford County suffered minor injuries while traveling on a Peoria charter coach bus on a trip to Washington, D.C. The Peoria bus was rear-ended by another bus in the state of Maryland. And Peoria County officials cut the ribbon on the newly opened courthouse grounds over the weekend. The beautiful surroundings complement the courthouse with renovations, including a water display, which is pretty impressive, to say the least. That's a look at some of the stories we're following. And a little reminder that this portion of your program brought to you by CPA and tax specialist Matt Wall. Matt is with Gordon Stockman Wall. He is a specialist in financial affairs, including estate and trust tax planning. You can reach for more information about your finances at 309-692-4030. Matt Wall, the number again, 309-692-4030.
From the WGLT Newsroom, good morning. I'm Ryan Denham. Republican Congressman Darren LaHood voted against the recent War Powers Act resolution in the House requiring an end to the war in Iran. That's even though LaHood has repeatedly said he wants the war to wind down. LaHood implies the measure joined by several Republicans was not necessary because the conflict is close to an end.
We will have a resolution here shortly. We'll have the Straits of Hormuz open, and we'll have an agreement.
LaHood's opponent in November is taking him to task for the vote. Democrat Paul Nolly says working people are paying the price for the war in higher fuel costs, fertilizer prices, and uncertainty when they can afford it least. East Peoria Mayor John Call says the city's economic growth is progressing even better than expected. Call points to the success of the recently opened residential side of the Bluetown mixed-use project next to City Hall as one major indicator.
A lot of people question, really, rentals, high-end luxury apartments, there's no demand for that. Absolutely wrong. That place is almost filled already.
Call says the Bluetown developers are committed to a second phase along Center Street, and the city has a lot more in the works. He says they're pursuing a yet undisclosed unique business for the vacant Granite City restaurant building that's next to the new Hampton Inn. Peoria's Sister City program is marking a milestone and looking for its next generation. Last week, the city celebrated 50 years of partnership with Friedrichshafen, Germany. Patrick Raisler chairs the Peoria Sister City Commission and has chaperoned the youth exchange program for years. He says what students always bring back is the same.
They come back with messages about how similar we are. We may have bigger refrigerators in the United States than they do in Germany, but when it comes down to it, teenagers are teenagers, and they form quite close bonds.
This summer, 3 Peoria teenagers will make that trip to Germany. Organizers looking for more families to get involved. And elected officials in Logan County are slamming the state's decision to officially close the Logan Correctional Center in Lincoln. The Illinois Department of Corrections has announced it will relocate the aging all-women's facility to Will County. That move has been in the works for several years. You can find more news at WCBU.org. I'm Ryan Denham.
All right, John Meisinger. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Roger. You ready?
I'm ready and willing.
Under overcast skies and a sudden deluge of rain, Grade 1 Kentucky Derby winner Golden Tempo shone brightest on the stretch of the Saratoga Racecourse as he charged through the wire at 1 1/4 length. The winner of Saturday's Grade 1 $2 million Belmont Stakes contested for the third and final time at 10 furlongs around the historic upstate New York Oval. Big money in there. I heard that there was $116 bet at the $116 million bet at the racetrack that day. That's
at just the track.
That's my understanding.
That's a lot of money floating around.
That's a lot of money, yes. Yeah, for a bad economy. The Chicago Bears have reached a definite decision to relocate for their long-standing home in Illinois to Hammond, Indiana. This decision comes in wake of local lawmakers' inability to pass a legislative bill that would have provided essential incentives for the team to remain in Illinois. In Major League Baseball yesterday, the Phillies beat the White Sox 9-5. The Cubs took it on the chin by the Giants in extra innings 2-1. The Cards 5, the Reds 3. Yankees beat the Red Sox 6-1. The Braves over the Pirates 3-2, and the Brewers beat the Rockies 12-4. Peoria Chiefs action. Chiefs starters Jacob Odell struck out 8 batters, and Cade McGee backed him up with a 2-run home run effort as the Chiefs shut out Sky Carp for their 5th consecutive victory, a 5-0 effort on Saturday night at Dozer Park. Then yesterday, the Chiefs made it a clean sweep, 6 wins, no losses against the Sky Carp when they won 3-1 yesterday. The Chiefs travel to South Bend to take on the Cubbies for 6 games, starting tomorrow at 6:05 p.m. Morton's bid for a first state title was denied by Crystal Lake Central over the weekend. Morton, who is 26-2-1, competed in its very first state tournament, had only a single loss to Peoria Notre Dame on the year until they met Crystal Lake Central. So congratulations to Morton for a good finish on this year. East Peoria achieved a long-awaited milestone over the weekend, securing a sectional plaque for the first time since 1974 in baseball. The Raiders triumphed with a 5-3 victory over Dunlap in the Class 3A Washington Sectional Championship game held on Saturday. East Peoria will now compete against Geneva at 6 p.m. tonight at the Geneseo Super Sectional. Dunlap concluded its performance in the softball state finals with an impressive fourth-place finish. The fifth-ranked Eagles faced Oak Park Fenwick in the Illinois High School Association Class 3A third-place game on Saturday at Louisville Slugger Sports Complex, where they were narrowly defeated 1-0.
Ooh.
Congratulations, though. Fourth-place finish isn't bad. And another state tournament back here in Peoria.
In Peoria
It's
area.
nice to have.
Amen to that. You're right.
Nice to have. Thousands of runners and spectators crowded the downtown Peoria streets on Saturday for the 52nd Steamboat Classic Road Race on Saturday. Streets were closed for half the day on a warm and humid Saturday as the runners serpentined through the streets. Event coordinator said this year's run was made easier because of the change of several downtown thoroughfares from one-way to two-way streets. That way they could run both directions.
Yeah, and they did.
And they did. They only said they were running one way, but they could run both
No, they
ways
could
if they
run
wanted to,
one, yeah.
right. Stanley Cup Finals resume tomorrow night at 7:30 between the Golden Knights and the Hurricanes. Golden Knights lead the series 2-1. NBA Finals resume tonight at 7:30 p.m. between the Spurs and the Knicks, where the Knicks lead the series 2-0 in the best of 7. The game will be on ABC and ESPN. And finally, a new consumer survey that homeowners have household products is most likely to make them throw up. The most common answer, a dartboard on the ceiling. That's not funny. That's just bad. But we just had a general walk into the studio and I didn't stand up.
Officer on board.
Officer on board, that's for sure.
Come on now.
Congratulations, young man.
Thank you.
Wow.
What an exciting event, and thank you for allowing us to participate. General Dan McDonough, thank you for coming in this morning. God bless you.
Well, thanks for having me. I thought maybe I said something in my last promotion that offended you. You wouldn't let me come back.
Yes, actually you did. You didn't ask me to stand up and be recognized. With thousands of people there gathered. We're going to talk to the general, and I hope that, is it okay if we call you Dan now?
Yes.
Is that okay?
It was okay when I was a general.
You still are a general, are you?
Yeah,
that doesn't
retired.
change.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, but we have another special guest who's not really a guest, Dr. Gene Sidler on the line, and I know a lot of people want to know whether or not they should take that drug to lose weight, GLP-1. Good morning, Gene. How are you?
Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Dan. You're talking about the GLP-1 drugs, and those are more maybe commonly known as the Ozempic type drugs, Mounjaro, Wegovy. There's actually maybe now as many as a dozen or more of these drugs out on the market that are marketed primarily as weight loss drugs. They were originally developed for the control of diabetes, and they actually are pretty effective in keeping blood sugars down. The GLP stands for glucagon-like peptide, and it is a drug that mimics a type of hormone that our intestinal tract produces called GLP-1. And it helps lower blood sugar, but it also helps increase our metabolism, and in the end, it results in losing weight. So for that, they are very effective and are very widely used now. Of course, you hear about the use of these drugs among celebrities mostly, but nationwide, they have become the most widely prescribed drug in this country in just the past couple of years. But they do have side effects, and that is what you're referring to in this story about my embryolic. She was a child star back in the early 1990s and has continued her acting career until recently, and then has performed as a part-time host on the Jeopardy show as well. I'm sure Teri is quite familiar with her in that role.
Yes.
But the story is that she has also had some autoimmune medical history as well, autoimmune disorders that affect our muscles and joints and other things. And she apparently was advised to try these drugs because although they are the only thing that they're approved for is the diabetic control and for weight loss, but they have also been found to have maybe some positive benefits for other conditions, including autoimmune disorders. So for that and for the fact that she wanted to lose some weight, she was prescribed the drugs. I don't know which specific drug she was given, but let's say it was Ozempic. That's perhaps the most widely prescribed one out on the market. And they do have side effects. The most common is nausea, vomiting, and intestinal symptoms like diarrhea, bloating, abdominal pain, and such as that. It just sounds like she had quite an extraordinary form of those side effects, he says, with the very first dose. And pretty good indication she shouldn't probably take a second dose.
Yeah. You may not want to answer this, but they said she suffered gastrointestinal disorders.
Or gastrointestinal. Gastro is your stomach, and intestinal is the rest of the digestive tract.
The other word was explosive.
Yeah, the gastrointestinal disorder is a broad range. It can include everything from swallowing problems to acid reflux to stomach ulcers and digestive problems. But yes, as it moves on down the intestinal tract, it can affect the lower half as well, and that's the diarrhea. And she described hers as explosive.
That's what I figured
Maybe
it was.
some of us may have experienced something like that at some point in our life. We really don't like to have to think about going back to that kind of side effect.
Yeah. I had that kind of gastrointestinal disorder on the troop ship coming back from Germany, and I can recommend it was explosive, but it was the top half of the intestinal tract, but that's another story. So the bottom line is Ozempic or whatever it is still pretty much safe.
Overall, it is, yes. I mean, this very small minority of people have side effects that result in their inability to continue the drugs. The overwhelming majority of people take them with very minimal side effects initially, and then they seem to get a little bit better as you continue them, or maybe no effects at all. So they are still going to be a drug that's widely used out there, but there are just occasional people, and this is true with every drug, that there are occasional individuals whose systems differ in a way that they just don't tolerate them at all.
You know, one thing I've known you for a number of years, and you've never had a weight loss problem, have you?
Well, you know, as we get older, even us guys that were skinny much of our lives do have to work a little bit at it to keep from gaining weight. But no, I guess I've been able to keep that under control for the most part.
Yeah. You know, we mentioned earlier that more books have been written about weight loss than any other subject. Did you see a lot of patients who worried about gaining weight?
Oh, certainly. That was one of the things that I probably saw and recommended things for as much as about anything else. And, you know, there's not a whole lot that a doctor could do for most of history, but other than advising things like diet and modification of physical activities and things like that. But now doctors do have the option of treating people with medicines like the Ozempic, the GLP-1 type drugs. And I'm sure there will be others that come along. There's more and more research done all the time on some of the drugs now that we have a better understanding of what helps modulate our metabolism, and we can now find ways to adjust that and help people lose weight medically. There will be other drugs that come on the market in the years in the future. But no, those drugs weren't available when I was still practicing.
You know, one of the things, particularly for people over the age of 65, you have to write down a certain DRG for coverage. Was there a category for treating an overactive fork?
Well,
You don't have to answer
I'm sure you could kind of create one somewhere, but no, DRG's had more to do with hospital codes and things.
Right.
Yeah, you could find ways to get around the prescription limitations, and that's Medicare and insurance companies do sometimes require specific diagnosis to pay for a drug. Many of these drugs aren't paid for by insurance or by the Medicare Part D.
And yet, weight loss is one of the best things you can do for improving your overall health. Speaking of overall health, Illinois apparently took it on the chin. Give us your view on where the Bears will be playing in the future in Indiana or Arlington Heights.
Well, yeah, we talked about it this last week, that the Illinois General Assembly was supposed to vote on a bill that it seemed like had pretty complete support for the most part, and at the end of May, their session was supposed to end on May 31st, but it dragged on into the early morning hours of June 1st. They were supposed to vote on this new bill, and it never got passed because the Illinois House decided they would adjourn for their session before they got a chance to vote for it. So the state of Illinois has never come up with an offer to the Bears that would give them some kind of assurance about the property taxes, and that's all they were asking. But they weren't actually asking for the state to kick in any money in this case. They were just asking for some kind of assurance on property taxes into the future, and the House didn't come through with that. Now they have this very good offer from the state of Indiana, and this has dragged on for over 5 years now, this planning to get something done about a new stadium, and then there's the aspect of the city of Chicago. They had at first wanted to help the Bears find a location for the new stadium, but then they sort of torpedoed this bill down in Springfield their thinking was that if we prevent them from going to Arlington Heights, they probably won't go to Indiana. That means they'll have to come back and negotiate with us here in Chicago. And it turns out that backfired on them, because now their only option is Indiana. And then the board of the Bears voted last week to accept the Indiana offer. So that's where it stands. And on paper, it looks like that means that it's going to go ahead there in Indiana. But, this has been dragged out, as I say, for over 5 years, since 2021, and it isn't over yet. I still believe that there will be more haggling back and forth before something actually ever gets done.
Yeah. Well, in the meantime, the Bears can focus on maybe winning this year with Caleb as the quarterback, but we'll see.
Well, they had a nice year last year, made the playoffs, had 11 wins. This year, they have been picked to actually maybe have a step back a little bit, because their schedule is the most difficult schedule. If you look at winning percentages of the teams on their schedule this year from their winning percentages from last year, they had the toughest schedule of anybody in the NFL. So they may not have as good of a record at the end of this year, but I think they are a playoff team, and I think they can win that NFC North division again. So good luck to them. And like you, Roger, I'm a Bears fan. I have been since I was a kid, since the Chicago Cardinals left Chicago.
Yeah, I remember that.
Then I switched to the Bears. I was a Cardinals fan for a few years in my youth.
In your youth. Okay, as always, Dr. Gene Sidler, thanks for your medical insights and your sports insight as well. A little reminder, you can get more information from Dr. Sidler's website, bradleyfans.com. Thanks, Gene.
Yeah. All right. Have a great week, everybody.
You bet. Thank you, Dr. Gene Sidler. And we're going to talk to Dan McDonough, retired Major General from the United States Air Force. So don't go away. In the meantime, let's get caught up with the news from the weather. For investment questions and information you might want to consider, our good friend Bob Manning of the Grandview Capital Group at Morgan Stanley in Peoria. Bob is a senior vice president, has been in the investment advisory field for more than 27 years now, and he is with Morgan Stanley Smith Barney, LLC, member SIPC, and you can reach Bob Manning today at 309-671-4653. That's 671-4653. Now with our news, here's Terry with the latest.
Well, the first big story this morning is about Peoria's retiring Major General Daniel McDonough of the United States Air Force. They held a retirement ceremony Saturday afternoon for General McDonough in one of the spacious C-130 hangars at the 182nd Airlift Wing. General McDonough was honored for his years of military service that started in 1987 and ended... 1986.
Make that correction,
Yeah.
editorial correction there. 86.
And ended as Assistant Adjutant General of the Illinois Air Guard in Springfield. During that time, McDonough totaled over 5,600 flying hours, with close to 700 combat hours in the cockpit of not only the C-130 aircraft, but also the Dragonfly OA-37 and the F-16 fighter jet.
Yes.
Inside joke here, people.
We want to emphasize the F-16,
Yes.
as we did during the ceremony
Several
18
times.
times.
Several times, yes.
You got to be an inside joke.
The native Peorian was deployed 5 times to Iraq as part of Operations Enduring Freedom and 4 times to Bagram Air Base in Afghanistan. Speaking of the Middle East, things are not going well. For the first time in weeks, Iran has resumed military action against Israel as the country continues to block efforts by President Trump to achieve a peace agreement. Israel reports Iran fired a limited number of missiles which were intercepted. The all-clear was sounded, but schools today have been canceled. The missile attack came after Israel allegedly conducted airstrikes against Hezbollah on the outskirts of Beirut, Lebanon. President Trump has urged Israel not to respond, which perhaps signals a widening rift between Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Police are searching for 2 gunmen who shot at each other, wounding as many as 12 bystanders attending a street festival in Toledo, Ohio, Saturday evening. The festival was canceled, motive for the shooting unknown. Former Jeopardy host Mayim Bialik has revealed she suffered serious medical repercussions after taking a single injection dose of the weight loss drug GLP-1. The TV host said she had to take IV fluids in response to gastrointestinal symptoms she called explosive. Bialik said she has also been challenged for years with depression. And we heard some details about the effects of the drug and why it was even developed from Dr. Gene Sidler earlier this morning. In local news, firefighters from Peoria Heights and Peoria were called to put out a house fire in the 900 block of East Highland Avenue. Faulty electrical wiring was the apparent cause of the fire, which did about $15,000 damage that also caused the resident to find new lodging. The Peoria Proud community held a celebration in Glen Oak Park yesterday. The Pride Month event brought out a large crowd for the family cookout. It was a 12th annual get-together. There was also a large turnout for the celebration of the life of Peoria firefighter Zeb Gardner at the Premier Event Center on Dries Lane. His wife and our dear friend Hetty Elliott greeted friends who attended to honor Zeb, who died at the age of 57. He was a member of the Peoria Fire Department for 30 years. Our condolences to Hetty and her family. And those are the headlines, Roger.
All right, Terry, thank you kindly. Now a check of the weather brought to you by Sam Lilly and Associates, providing a comprehensive range of insurance products, including personal auto, home, life, and medical coverage. Sam, specializes in Medicare plans and options. That's something he's been doing during his 40 years in the business. Sam knows insurance. Learn more from Sam Lilly at 309-245-4374. Weather-wise, we can tell you we're now under a flood watch until 1 a.m. tomorrow morning, and for good reason. Plenty of rain and more rain today with a high of 82. Tonight, the showers continue, a low of 70. Tomorrow, partly sunny and hot, a high of 90. A heat index of 102. Wednesday, sunny, windy, and hot, high 92. Thursday, sunny. Looks like afternoon showers and a high Thursday of 90. Friday we're up to only 88, and Saturday 87. A chance for Saturday afternoon showers, and currently 73 degrees. And we're delighted to say once again, pleasant good morning to retired General Dan McDonough. What a day yesterday!
Yeah, that was
Saturday.
Saturday, yeah.
That was. You know, the weather was part of the issue there. I was driving to work driving to the base that day, and my truck said 92 degrees, and I thought, oh boy.
Yeah.
So you can imagine how happy I was when I got into that hangar and saw that the doors were down. And
And the fans were blowing. It was very comfortable.
It was comfortable.
Actually, we had some portable air conditioners blowing in there. You might have heard the hum in there, but so they did actually cool it off quite a bit. So it was
very comfortable.
Right.
You bet.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know where to begin because there were so many wonderful comments and speeches and remarks.
Most of it all lies.
And except when your son, you know, that had to be a very emotional moment to stand up and be recognized for your 38 years of
39 and a half.
39 and a half.
Keep trying to cheat me out of that last
I know,
year.
I know.
Come on.
Well, there's 1 year and a half there that I want you to forget.
Okay.
But stand there and be recognized and have among the people speaking your son. I mean, I got goosebumps.
Yeah, well, both my son and my daughter, and I think putting those comments together, I didn't know they were going to talk, and so I don't know if you saw the look on my face it was an emotional day, and you don't want to stand up there and blubber and cry and carry on, but
you did.
I did, yeah, and so did my good friend Tim Stumbaugh that spoke too, which actually kind of it kind of set the tone. Like, okay,
sure did.
We're doing we're going to have some fun here. We're going to tell some stories, but. When Danny and Kelly both got up there and spoke, it was all I could do to keep a dry eye. And to your point, it's so incredibly proud that they would stand up there. There were a lot of people there, and they were both.
It was back.
Yeah, they were
absolutely
both,
back.
very nervous about speaking, but I thought they both just knocked it
did
out.
a marvelous
job.
Did such a great job.
Are they twins?
They are, yeah.
Okay.
Now I didn't know that.
Yeah,
they are twins.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, one of the reasons and that wasn't taking anything away from your daughter, was here your son was in uniform,
Right.
as an officer
Right.
and a gentleman.
Right.
I might add to that. And you're right, both did a marvelous job in circumstances that the average young person would not find themselves. For a huge crowd.
Yeah, so Danny told me that right before it started, he said, "Dad, I was getting ready to go to the bathroom," and then they said, "Hey, you got to turn your phone off. It's time. It's going to start." And so he said, and it was a long one. It ended up going about an hour and 15 or hour and a half. I don't know what it was. It flew by for me, but so he was up there thinking, okay, now I got to go out. I got to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And now when they said, hey, now it's time for you guys to come up, he's like, no, turn it off.
No, the time is. Let's reset the biological clock here, if we can, for that matter. Well, let's go back to the day when you made the decision that you wanted to join the Air Force.
Yeah, I was 12 years old. Well, probably not the Air Force, but I was 12 years old and wanted to fly airplanes for a living. So my dad traveled with CAT. He worked for CAT, and we'd go out to the airport, and the airport itself just had a special aura about it. And I thought, someday I want to be part of this. And I've told this story, I think, on the air before, that I had an assignment when I was in grade school that, what do you want to do when you grow up? And I said, well, I want to throw bags for an airline because I want to be around airplanes. And the priest at the time said, well, wouldn't you want to fly the airplane? And I thought, that's even better. Now
that you mentioned
it. Now that you if I could do that, heck yeah. So he said, yeah, dream big. And so I did. I went to school. I went to ICC for my first 2 years, and then went to Indiana State, where they had an aviation program, and things just kind of lined up. And as I mentioned in my speech on Saturday, I had some really good luck where I had Lieutenant Colonel Bill Troy is a family friend or a friend of our family, and he was able to kind of get my foot in the door, and then I got to the guy with the keys to go into pilot training. At the time, Colonel Frank Rezac, and he saw something in me and said, "Yeah, why don't we try this?" And so
Can I go back a little bit?
Yeah.
Was Bill Troy with Southside Bank?
No, Bill was a full-time guy at the base.
Okay,
there.
all right.
Yeah, full-time maintenance officer out at the base. So, but yeah, so I got the shot and realized, the how precious that was, and looking back to when I was 12 and thinking, this is my dream. I'm going to actually get to be on the inside of an airplane as opposed to, being a ground controller or whatever. And then I was able to fly those 3 amazing airplanes that you mentioned earlier, the A-37 and the F-16 and the C-130, and it was just, and my career flew by, and just had.
Pardon the expression.
Yeah.
Pun intended. Yeah.
Pun intended. Yeah. And then I, just had an opportunity to command down at the state level here the last 3.5 years, and apparently that's when I upset you, and you wouldn't let me come back on the radio. And no, I'm just kidding. No, but that was a great time too. But it's just a different aspect, not flying airplanes and doing more of the maybe political and long-term kind of planning and those kinds of things down at the state level. So
what was the joy of each one of the planes that you flew? The 37, the F-16, and the C-130.
So the A-37 was what was known as a forward air controller, and so that your responsibility was to deal with the soldiers on the ground, the Army folks on the ground, and you would talk to them and find out where they were, and then basically
and find out where the enemy was.
Exactly, where the enemy was, and then find that line, and then make sure that my role would be to say shoot a rocket or drop a bomb on the bad guys, and then say, okay, bring in the big guys, the bombers and the fighters, and say, okay, if you can see that mark, the good guys are on this side of this tree line, the bad guys are on there, so make sure that you hit the right guys. And so what was crazy about that is the autonomy that I was a young lieutenant, and they gave me the keys to the car and said,
go get 'em.
Live long and prosper, and go get them. And it's insane. I was a young guy, and they just give you all that ability to just do whatever you want to do, and within reason.
Yeah.
But so that probably was that. The F-16 was just an amazing aircraft, and just the power and just the agility and just the performance. That when I look back at that step from the A-37 to the F-16, the step in technology was incredible for me. And so again, the performance of airplane capable of pulling 9 Gs and turning very, very tight and shooting just every kind of weapon that in the arsenal we had. So. That was a lot of fun, and we got to do some really cool things with that airplane. And then when you move to the C-130, you can imagine a bunch of F-16 pilots that were flying supersonic jet fighters that are going to be replaced by a C-130. The airplane that we see flying over the town here. That's not near as maneuverable. It's not near as maybe agile, but what it did is it took us to every part of the planet. I've been to just about every continent, and that airplane is slow enough that it's not like you're going to fly in and drop your stuff off and then get back out. Typically, that's the end of the day when you get to where you're going, and so you get to spend time, whether it be in Cleveland, Ohio, or somewhere overseas in places where they're not necessarily, you don't necessarily want to stay, like Afghanistan.
There's no Holiday Inn in Afghanistan.
No, there isn't. No, there isn't.
Yeah.
So.
Now, the Dragonfly, in doing what you did, wasn't that a high-risk assignment?
Sure, yeah.
Because the enemy wants to shoot you down, so you don't disclose where they are, right?
Exactly, yeah. If they could get rid of me, then they were going to.
Did you take some ground fire?
I never went to combat in that aircraft,
Okay.
so that was the closest thing we ever did was we went down to Central and South America several times, and that airplane was perfect for that Central and South America scenario because it had a short range. It could only fly for about 2 hours, and it was out of gas, and so and it was relatively slow in comparison to modern day fighters. So When we did deploy, and when I say we, it wasn't me, but when the folks like Bill Robertson and some of the other folks from Peoria here did deploy, we would deploy on the ground. We would go out with
really?
the Army. We were the guys that were talking to that airplane.
No kidding.
Right.
Oh my goodness. Well, and of course you went to Afghanistan and Iraq, and I'm assuming with the C-130 in those instances.
Right.
Yeah, and part of that was during the war. I know we have talked about landing at certain locations in the Middle East. And did those planes take fire?
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Could you point when you landed? Did you have your crew say, "Over here, General, we've got," or Colonel, or whatever rank you were at that time? Here's one of these fuel tanks by this much, sort of thing.
And most of the time, that's the way it would happen. We would see that there was something going on. A lot of times at night, you can see muzzle flashes and on night vision goggles. But most of the time they would shoot from behind after we had already passed them.
Oh,
so
really?
We would land, and our crew chiefs, the folks that worked on the airplane, would say, "Hey guys, you realize we got a bullet hole in here?" I'm like, "No, we didn't realize that." So, and then after that would happen, then they have to go through the whole airplane and make sure that bullet didn't take
Didn't hit any vital
critical
lines.
systems out. Right.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
but yeah, so we'd find out. Most of the time, we'd find out after the fact.
Yeah. When you went to Afghanistan, Iraq, and you landed, and most of the time I assume you were landing to drop off supplies and et cetera, and people too, for that matter. As I recall, you kept the engines running and and you had a special crew whose assignment was get rid of everything as quickly as you can so we can get the hell out of here.
Exactly. That's exactly what it was. Yeah. So we'd keep the engines running just for fear that they wouldn't start again. And of course, the airplanes are very, very reliable, but you just don't need to tempt fate. So I
have a car like that.
Yeah. You got 4 big fans out there blowing exhaust and heat, and the jet engine that's connected to a propeller is basically how that airplane works. And so behind the airplane is where all that stuff is blowing. So it's not a very comfortable environment.
That's one way to put it.
Whether you're using forklifts back there or if you're walking off the airplane and getting blasted by that hot exhaust and dirt and sand and everywhere. So people, the folks that were coming off the back of the airplane typically knew how we were going to get off the airplane, and we would tell them obviously when we got on that we're going to do what's called an engine running offload. And when that happened, they would run out the back of the airplane and go as far as they could, and then they'd have to cross the path of that exhaust, and that's when you're sucking in smoke and dust.
What was the length of time it took you to land, unload, and then take off?
Oh, sometimes 5 minutes, 4 minutes,
No
something
kidding.
like that. Yeah.
Did you drill out at the 182nd multiple times with the crew?
We did, yeah. And there's some things we can do where you can just, instead of even using a forklift, you can
throw things off.
Literally, yeah. You unlock everything, and then just
roll it
kind
off.
of launch the airplane in lurch, and then all the stuff that's in the back of the airplane would
including the crew.
Well, not the crew. But if it was stuff like beans and bullets, if you will. If we could just dump it off on the patio or on the ramp right there, it only take about 500 feet of space. So if we look around and go, well, hey, there's no ground, there's no forklifts, if you will, ground handling equipment. If that was the case, then we just unlock everything and take off, and that stuff would just drop on the ramp, and off we'd go.
I'll try that with groceries sometimes. See if they work in the garage. Yeah. And the other part of getting done very quickly is you had other C-130s behind you. Am I right on that?
Yeah. And most of they'd call that the MOG, the men operating on the ground, the amount of people, the amount of airplanes that the strip could handle. You got to be able to take off and then get onto a ramp or something to get off the runway, do your business, and then get back on the runway and go. Like, see, out here in Peoria, we could certainly take probably 20 C-130s, but and then that's typically based on how many people that can handle the ground portion of that. But in some of these dirt strips in Afghanistan, that's all you had was a dirt strip. So you had to dump the stuff off at the end of the runway and then take off the other direction, or taxi down the other way and then take back off over the load you just dropped.
Yeah. Did you usually land at night, or were many of the landings during the day?
At the beginning, pretty much in Iraq and Afghanistan, at the very beginning, we did almost everything at night.
And you had to wear those night vision
Right,
goggles,
right.
didn't you?
And we owned the night back then. That was technology was, our night vision goggles were a lot better than the enemy's, and so we could see the runway where they didn't. Well, they knew where the runway was during the day, but they couldn't see us, and everything was blacked out. They could hear us, and then we could see them. We could see any kind. I say if somebody lights a cigarette from if you're on night vision goggles and somebody lights a cigarette, you can see them 3 miles away.
Really? Is that right? No kidding.
They just are amazing technology. But since
Where
then,
can I get a pair of those?
Yeah, well, that's what I was just going to say. Since then, you can buy them at a retail store.
You can.
Not quite the quality of the military, but it's really come around to where people unfortunately now the enemy has them too. So, but back in when we first started this, back in 2003 time frame, there was nothing. They didn't have that.
Typically, where did you pick up the supplies to deliver to Iraq or Afghanistan?
Yeah, most of the time, for the Iraq theater, everything would go into Kuwait, and then we would fly from wherever we were based, whether it be the United Arab Emirates or whether, sometimes we'd be actually in Kuwait at a different base. So the big airplanes, the 747s and the C-5s, and back in those days, C-17, C-141s, the bigger cargo airplanes would come into Kuwait, and they would dump their stuff off, not like we did. They would actually take it off with forklifts and that kind of stuff, and then we would redistribute it around Iraq and Afghanistan. So if it was the Iraq campaign, they would typically go into Kuwait City, the international airport there in Kuwait, and then Afghanistan, it would typically go into either Bagram Air Base, which is just north of Kabul, or Kandahar, where they had big operations in there, and then we redistribute it around the country.
Yeah. Speaking of Bagram.
Yeah.
Your thoughts about what we left behind?
Yeah.
You're retired now.
I'm retired. Yeah, you got me on the spot, don't you?
Yeah. They can't court-martial you now. They can cut off your pension, but some other things, and put matches under your fingernails.
So this is the first time I've been in a situation where you can actually, where I give you my opinion. Before I used to have to say, well, it doesn't really matter what my opinion is.
And we're talking to Dan McDonough, retired Major General. When you will see people on the different networks, Fox is an example, and they say retired, and that means they are pretty much, not 100%, I'm sure, can share their opinion.
Probably, yeah. I would get. I don't know. This is my maiden voyage.
Well,
we'll see.
If we find out that we have to send letters to Fort Leavenworth, we'll know that you couldn't say what we thought you could say.
So I wish we'd have taken a lot of that stuff out, because obviously it fell into the enemy, and it's very capable. Stuff that was designed to be to hurt and kill people, and so now it's in the wrong hands. So I certainly wish we'd have taken it out. But
well, that was then, and that's just, now from that standpoint. And one of the things I want to ask you in all your missions and the combat flights that you had, what was the most dangerous that you recall, that you really thought similar to what your son felt before he was getting ready to speak?
Well, the early on, when we would go into Afghanistan, and probably specifically Afghanistan, just based on the terrain, and everything was blacked out, and meaning everything, all the lights were turned off. You couldn't even turn a flashlight on, because the enemy, that would highlight you. So going in there and going into that environment in the incredibly mountainous terrain out there. So we would navigate through that on night vision goggles, with the whole crew would finally figure out, and we'd get to the end of the runway, and we do our business there. Well, that's the time when you're most vulnerable, is when you're on the ground. And so,
for any length of time.
Right. Yeah. And so, you make a bunch of noise, you land, and the enemy goes, okay, I know they're over there. So probably the most dangerous and most vulnerable for the C-130. Certainly flying around over the top of them, they can take shots at us if they wanted to, but it's when you're sitting on the ground with people behind you taking stuff off your airplane is probably the most dangerous. And again, that's always when we felt the most uneasy. And in some of these forward operating bases called FOBs, they were right. I mean, anybody could walk up to the fence because it's a tiny little, maybe a 3,000 by maybe 60-foot strip with a couple Army, encampments on this facility. So they have a fence, and bad guys could walk up with grenade launchers or whatever they wanted to do to ruin our day. So that was that's probably specifically where things were the riskiest.
Yeah. How long did it take you to, let's say, leave from Bartonville, Illinois on a C-130 to go to the Middle East? And what was your, did you refuel in the air, or did you land at Greenland, or?
No, so the C-130 doesn't, this particular model of the C-130 doesn't refuel, but so we would take off typically out of Peoria, or very early in the morning, or even in the middle of the night, and then we would fly to St. John's, Newfoundland, and we would spend the night there. We would refuel, recharge our batteries, but on the first time we went over there, when we only had a couple days to get there, we went to St. John's, Newfoundland. We refueled. We changed crews, meaning the guys that were sleeping in the back as we flew the 7 hours up to St. John's.
Can you really sleep seriously?
Oh yeah, I could sleep like a baby in that thing. Yeah. Oh yeah. Some people couldn't, but I could. So then we went from St. John's, Newfoundland to Prestwick, Scotland. And then we left.
And fuel at Prescott?
We spent the night there, and everybody completely recharged. And then we'd either go, lots of times we'd go into some of the former Soviet areas like Tbilisi, Georgia, or Romania.
Really?
Sometimes we'd make our stop in Turkey, sometimes Greece. Depending on that last leg, at the time, who liked us and who didn't, because we determined where we could go.
If there was a sign said no vacancy, you were okay.
Exactly. So we would go to that third stop, and then typically the last one would be most of the time we would spend the night in like I said, Turkey, Romania, Georgia, Greece, somewhere in there, and then our last leg would be going into combat.
I think it took you a while to get there, didn't it?
Most times, if we were going at our own pace, it would take 4 days.
Oh my goodness!
Because again, the airplane's not designed for speed. It's designed for short landings and to be able to drop stuff out the back of the airplane.
Yeah, unbelievable length of time to get there, and when you finally got to the Middle East, your landing was in Kuwait normally, or Saudi Arabia?
No.
Or did you go directly to where your destination is?
We'd go directly in. And
really?
Sometimes it was in Kuwait. Again, if we were fighting the Iraq War, it would be either in Kuwait, or we spent a lot of time in United Arab Emirates for just near Dubai. You could see it. You couldn't go into it, but you could see the beautiful buildings, and we'd fly over it. Well, that looks nice, and then go off to our kind of rustic environment, our tent city, if you will. And then in Afghanistan, we would stay at Bagram Air Base and or Kandahar, depending on.
Yeah. Now, important question is, what did you eat while you're going to all these places? I'm sure you didn't wait until you got to Prescott or Kuwait that you actually ate while you were flying, whether you were in the car. I'm going to assume that when it was your turn to get something to eat, you let whoever was your co-pilot, or vice versa, while you went to the back. And did you have a kitchen or a dining area there?
Well, there was no dining area, but we had a kitchen, if you will. We had a tiny little oven,
really?
A tiny little oven that you could put maybe like a
butcher's pizza.
Not even a TV dinner. If you it's probably about maybe 2 cell phone widths. Maybe cubed out, maybe 4 or 5 inches by 4 or 5 inches by 4 or 5 inches. and then you could put whatever it was in there and heat it up a little bit. But you weren't making pizzas or anything like that. So so most of the time we just eat cold sandwiches and stuff like that. So
Now, were they pre-made as part of the supplies on your aircraft?
Sometimes, depending on if we stopped at an Air Force base, Air Force, we always joke that
Commissaries at the Air Force base.
Well, yeah, and the Air Force starts off. They say, "Where are we going to put the golf course?" And they figure out where the golf course is going to be, and then they say, "Well, we probably need a runway around here," and then they put the runway in after that, and then they say, "Well, we got to have a place, a commissary. We got to have a grocery store," and then they put everything else in. So the Army's the exact way opposite. They say, "Well, we got to go out and kill people and rah rah," and then they say, "Well, what about taking care of the people?" We'll get to that when it comes time for that.
Yeah.
But, so the Air Force is drastically different. So
Boy.
if we stopped at an Air Force base, there was going to be food there.
Is that? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And probably very good food.
And it
too.
was, it was good. Yeah.
What a career. When you look back on it, I know you had so many highlights during the entire 39, did you say?
39 and a half.
39 and a half years for it. And during that time, I'm sure one of the things that evolved over the years were some pretty special friendships as well.
I mean, I've been asked that question quite a bit here over the last couple of days, and that is by far the lasting. If anything, you take my uniform off and you park it and then put it in the closet and maybe never wear it again. But the things that last forever, the most enduring, are those relationships that we've got. And I was so humbled Saturday to see so many people that I didn't know were coming, and somehow found out through the network that this event was happening, and traveled great distances and came from a long way. Like I said, my good friend Tim Stumbaugh came from Virginia and to speak, and I had another dear friend that came from Minneapolis and flew down. He's an airline pilot. He flew down, went to the event, and flew back that same day just to be there. So those relationships that are priceless and like I said, enduring, and that's what I'll take back from or take away from the 39 and a half years.
Yeah. I thought sure you would say one of the highlights was appearing on Breakfast with Roger.
Well,
and
it was, and then you kicked me off.
Yeah. I didn't kick you off. I thought you gave us the cold shoulder, for that matter.
No.
And interestingly, some time ago, and I don't know exactly when, I called. I keep wanting to call him Colonel Robertson, because that's what he was when he started coming here as well. But I called him at his phone number and left a message. Royce Elliott used to call him Corky Bill, because of his father, Corky Robertson, who was a dear friend, and never got a call back. And I said, I think once they're on the show, they have no excuse other than said, I'm busy now. But he set the bar.
Yeah.
And then and I don't mind telling you, Rusty Ballard has just done a wonderful job too.
Right.
Actually, we like his wife better because she
brings treats.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I
sends
mean,
good
the
treats.
goodies that she makes is just outstanding.
She's an amazing baker.
Unfortunately for us, he's down in Arkansas getting acclimated on the C-130. The new ones, what are they called? The C-130.
The J models.
The J model.
Right. Yeah.
And boy, it must be something to behold, because he's been down there for umpteen weeks now.
It's a drastically different.
It is.
Well, if you take the one of the things is the C-130H has 6 crew members on it, and the J model only has 4. So all those duties that those 2 people that we virtually eliminated, they have to learn the technology that was replaced. That's how they replaced them. Specifically, how you get the information from your mission planning into the computer so that it can display the information that the pilots need to operate the mission. And so that interaction between the interface between the pilot and the navigation system is really is a difficult thing to learn. So to fly the airplane, Rusty could have done that on day one. The airplane is relatively close, but they don't fly the airplane the same way that they flew the C-130H.
Really?
It's a lot more automated. So to learn how to use the automation that didn't exist in the airplane that's on the ramp right now is basically where all the training is.
Yeah. I know you've been asked the question, but I'll do it on the air. Are you going to miss it?
Oh man, I will. What I said on Saturday, I don't miss any of the Air Force. I'll just say stuff. I don't miss performance appraisals. I don't miss spreadsheets trying to figure out how we're going to work. But man, the people. I miss flying airplanes, flying high performance airplanes, and the people, the relationships. And again, and that's the nice thing is that. In my role, especially right towards the end, where I was either the wing commander or the commander of the Air Guard, the opportunity to just go in and talk to people. That was my job, was just to talk to people and, hey, what's going on? What are the issues? And how's your life going? Man, what a gift. That was just so nice. And talk to people that I'd never spoken with, and learn about what's going on in their life. And that's what I miss. But I certainly don't miss staff meetings or
Appraisals.
Appraisals. Yeah, all that kind of
I
stuff.
hated appraisals.
It's just that's a necessary evil. But that stuff is behind me, and now I get to come on radio shows and just talk about the good old days.
That sounds good to me. I do want to tell you, since you're in the studio, and I mentioned at the start of the program that when I drove up to the gate and they wanted to know what I was doing. And I said, well, I'm here for the retirement ceremony for General McDonough. Could we see your driver's license? And they took it. And I think they couldn't believe the date of birth on it. Because
They were doing math.
They were doing the math. I'm serious.
Yeah.
I thought, have I done something wrong? And then I decided they probably hadn't seen someone come through the gate that's 92 years young. And he finally gave it back to me and looked to make sure that I was still alive. And I said, now where do I go, and be careful what you say? And he said, go down here, turn to the right, go to the first street, and turn to the left. Well, we did that, and the parking lot was packed, as you know, because a heck of a crowd was there. And I was looking for a place, and I realized I was going to be at quite a distance because I saw a sign that said Gill's
Supper Club.
Supper Club. So I knew I was in Hannah City.
Yeah.
But anyway, seriously, I heard a siren. Looked, and there was the security force vehicle. And he said, sir, follow me and I'll get you a little closer.
Oh, very good.
I said, praise the Lord. It took me I thought we were going to go in the hangar there for a while.
Oh, good.
But, talk about looking out for
Customer service.
somebody was just and one final thought, and that is, we thank you for your service to this country. More importantly, you had to love what you were doing, knowing that you were helping protect the people of the United States.
Yeah, it's such an honor. And like I mentioned, my closing statement was, it really is such an unbelievable honor to be able to serve, and to be able to serve in that capacity, far exceeded anything I ever dreamt. So it was a great ride, and I enjoyed every minute of it.
And I know you have to be, and you are very proud of your son, who is a lieutenant, and your daughter, who is marrying someone who is in the military. So obviously your leadership, not only for the country and the people of Central Illinois, but people in your own family, speaks volumes about who you are and what you've done for us. God bless you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks
for
for coming in. And I do have your number, so when the phone rings, don't put it on recorded. I'm out of country for 10 months. They'll call me back.
I'll come
Dan
back whenever
McDonough,
you ask me to go back. I
God
love
bless
this.
you. Thanks for coming in. I appreciate it. News, weather, sports coming up next, so stay tuned on WAZU FM 90.7 in Peoria, Illinois, and also now on YouTube at Roger and Friends LS. Don't go away. It's 8:09, and it's a beautiful Monday morning, the 8th of June, and we start with a check of the weather brought to you this morning by Spoon River Home Health, bridging the gap in health care. Since 1993, Spoon River Home Health has been caring for people of all ages in their homes where recovery and healing faster and more comfortable. Learn more at 309-245-0723, Spoon River Home Health. Weather-wise, we are now under a flood watch until 1 a.m. tomorrow morning, and for good reason. Lots of rain, and more rain today with a high of 82. Tonight the showers continue. Overnight low of 70. Tomorrow partly sunny and hot, a high of 90 with a heat index of 102. Wednesday sunny, windy, and hotter, up to 92. Thursday sunny with afternoon showers, and the high Thursday 90. Friday 88, and Saturday 87 with a chance for Saturday showers. Currently 74 degrees, and now with our lead story, here's Teri.
Well, the lead story this morning is about Peoria's retiring Major General Daniel McDonough of the United States Air Guard.
International Guard.
Yeah, the International Guard. They held a retirement ceremony Saturday afternoon for General McDonough in one of the spacious C-130 hangars at the 182nd Airlift Wing. The hangar was packed with members and well-wishers, along with some military brass, past and present, including Illinois Adjutant General Rodney Boyd and former Air Wing Commander General William Robertson and General Frank Rezac.
Now, I'm going to read this very carefully because he's in the studio. General McDonough was honored for his years of military service that started in 1986.
Right.
And ended as Assistant Adjutant General of the Illinois Air Guard in Springfield. During that time, he totaled over 5,600 flying hours, and he counted those up each day, with close to 700 combat hours in the cockpit of not only the C-130s, but also the Dragonfly, which is the OA-37 Dragonfly, and F-16 fighter jet. The native Peorian was deployed 5 times to Iraq as part of Operations Enduring Freedom and 4 times to Afghanistan. And we are proud to say we were invited to attend the ceremony despite our police record. And we thank General McDonough for his outstanding service to the United States of America.
Speaking of the Middle East, things are not going well. For the first time in weeks, Iran has resumed military action against Israel as the country continues to block efforts by President Trump to achieve a peace agreement. Israel reports Iran fired a limited number of missiles, which were intercepted. The all-clear was sounded, but schools today have been canceled.
In other news, that missile attack came after Israel allegedly conducted airstrikes against Hezbollah on the outskirts of Beirut, Lebanon. President Trump has urged Israel not to respond, which perhaps signals a widening rift between Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
The president had a fun time with left-wing NBC reporter Kristen Welker during an interview over the weekend. She decided to debate Trump, and he ended it with a, "Thank you, darling, have a good time." National media said Trump stormed out of the interview. You can watch it on the internet and decide for yourself whether he stormed out.
Police are searching for 2 gunmen who shot at each other, wounding as many as 12 bystanders attending a street festival in Toledo, Ohio, Saturday evening. The festival was, as a result, canceled. Motive for the shooting still unknown.
Under new mayor Zohan Mamdani, another bizarre scene of violence in New York City. 6 people were stabbed, 1 seriously, at Penn Station last night. A suspect was apprehended, but no other details have been released by police.
Former Jeopardy host Mayim Bialik has revealed she suffered serious medical repercussions after taking a single injection of the weight-losing drug GLP-1. I think he said it's probably Ozempic. The TV host said she had to take IV fluids in response to gastrointestinal symptoms she called explosive. Use your own imagination for that. She has also been challenged for years, she said, fighting depression. And we talked with Dr. Sidler, 7:15 this morning. He gave us more information and said, relatively speaking, the drugs are very safe.
In local news, firefighters from Peoria Heights and Peoria were called to put out a house fire in the 900 block of East Highland Avenue. Faulty electrical wiring was the apparent cause of the fire, which did about $15,000 damage. also caused the resident to find new lodging.
And the Peoria Proud organization held a celebration in Glen Oak Park yesterday. The Pride Month event brought out a large crowd for the family cookout. It was the 12th annual get-together.
There was also a large turnout for the celebration of the life of Peoria firefighter Zeb Gardner at the Premier Event Center on Dries Lane. His wife and our dear friend Hetty Elliott greeted friends who attended to honor Zeb, who died at the age of 57. He and Hetty are the parents of 4 children. Zeb Gardner graduated from Ridgewood High School and studied fire science at Illinois Central College. He was a member of the Peoria Fire Department for 30 years. Our condolences to Hetty and her family.
Certainly, and I enjoyed visiting with Hetty and many of the family friends. In other news, 5 students and an adult from a middle school in Ford County, Illinois, suffered minor injuries while traveling on a Peoria charter coach bus on a trip to Washington, D.C. The Peoria bus was rear-ended by another bus, the accident happening in the state of Maryland. And Peoria County officials cut the ribbon at the newly opening of the courthouse grounds over the weekend. Our good friend Phil Salzer was there and participated in the event. The beautiful surroundings complement the courthouse with the amazing renovations. Those are some of the stories we are following. Now news from WCBU, presented by Advanced Medical Transport, the premier provider of emergency and scheduled ambulance service in central, western, and eastern Illinois. There are more than 500 AMP employees, men, women, dedicated to offering and providing the best in healthcare. Saving lives is what they do.
From the WGLT Newsroom, good morning. I'm Ryan Denham. Republican Congressman Darren LaHood voted against the recent War Powers Act resolution in the House requiring an end to the war in Iran. That's even though LaHood has repeatedly said he wants the war to wind down. LaHood implies the measure, joined by several Republicans, was not necessary because the conflict is close to an end.
We will have a resolution here shortly. We'll have the Straits of Hormuz open, and we'll have an agreement.
LaHood's opponent in November is taking him to task for the vote. Democrat Paul Nolly says working people are paying the price for the war in higher fuel costs, fertilizer prices, and uncertainty when they can afford it least. East Peoria Mayor John Call says the city's economic growth is progressing even better than expected. Call points to the success of the recently opened residential side of the Bluetown mixed-use project next to City Hall as one major indicator.
A lot of people question, really, rentals, high-end luxury apartments, there's no demand for that. Absolutely wrong. That place is almost filled already.
Call says the Bluetown developers are committed to a second phase along Center Street, and the city has a lot more in the works. He says they're pursuing a yet undisclosed unique business for the vacant Granite City restaurant building that's next to the new Hampton Inn. Peoria's Sister City program is marking a milestone and looking for its next generation. Last week, the city celebrated 50 years of partnership with Friedrichshafen, Germany. Patrick Raisler chairs the Peoria Sister City Commission and has chaperoned the youth exchange program for years. He says what students always bring back is the same.
They come back with messages about how similar we are. We may have bigger refrigerators in the United States than they do in Germany, but when it comes down to it, teenagers are teenagers, and they form quite close bonds.
This summer, 3 Peoria teenagers will make that trip to Germany, organizers looking for more families to get involved. And elected officials in Logan County are slamming the state's decision to officially close the Logan Correctional Center in Lincoln. The Illinois Department of Corrections has announced it will relocate the aging all-women's facility to Will County. That move has been in the works for several years. You can find more news at WCBU.org. I'm Ryan Denham.
Okay, good news and lots of sports from our sports guy, John Meisinger. Good morning, Johnny. Good to see you this morning.
Thanks so much, Roger. Appreciate that.
I knew that was coming.
Every time you say Johnny, you're going to get
Here's
Roger.
Johnny. However, do you remember when on the Johnny Carson show,
Ed McMahon?
Ed McMahon would say, "Here's Johnny." Yeah.
He always laughed like that, didn't he? Yeah.
Well, you have a good laugh.
Yeah, well, anyway, we'll go ahead and
Do the
do
sports.
this week's report. Under overcast skies and a sudden deluge of rain, Grade 1 Kentucky Derby winner Golden Tempo shone brightest down the stretch of the Saratoga Racecourse as he charged through the wire with a 1 1/4 length winner. of Saturday's Grade 1 $2 million Belmont Stakes. Not a bad make for a day. Contested only in the third and final time at the 10th furlong around the historic upstate New York Oval. So congratulations, 2 wins, not bad. But he didn't run the Preakness, did he?
No, he did not.
Okay. Well, the Chicago Bears have reached a definite decision to relocate from their long-standing home in Illinois to Hammond, Indiana. The decision comes in the wake of local lawmakers' inability to pass a legislative bill that would have provided essential incentives for the team to remain in the state. So the team is going to move southeast 17 miles. That's how far they're going to go, just to escape the Illinois economy. In Major League Baseball yesterday, the Phillies beat the White Sox 9-5. The Giants over the Cubs in extra innings 2-1. Cardinals beat the Reds 5-3. The Yankees 6. The Red Sox won. The Braves beat the Pirates 3-2, and the Brewers used up an awful lot of their runs to beat the Rockies 12-4. Peoria Chiefs starter Jacob Odell struck out 8 batters, and Cade McGee backed him up with a 2-home run effort as the Chiefs shut out the Sky Carp for their 5th consecutive victory in a 5-0 effort on Saturday night at Dozer. Then yesterday the Chiefs won again to make it a clean sweep of the Sky Carp. Chiefs won 3-1. The Chiefs traveled to South Bend to take on the Cubbies for a 6-game starting time tomorrow at 6:05 p.m. Morton's bid for a state title was denied by Crystal Lake Central. Morton, who was 26-2-1, competed its very first state tournament, had only a single loss to Peoria Notre Dame on the year prior to that loss. So congratulations to Morton on a wonderful season. East Peoria achieved a long-awaited milestone over the weekend, securing a sectional plaque for the first time since 1974. And you might not even been around in 1974.
I was here.
Well, I was going to say, I know the rest of us were here, but maybe not Terry wasn't here very long. But the Raiders triumphed with a 5-3 victory over Dunlap in the Class 3A Washington Sectional Championship game held on Saturday. East Peoria will now compete against Geneva tonight at the Geneseo Super Sectional at 6 p.m. Dunlap concluded its performance with the softball state finals with an impressive 4th-place finish in the state. The 5th-ranked Eagles faced off against Oak Park Fenwick in the Illinois High School Association Class 3A 3rd-place game on Saturday at the Louisville Slugger Sports Complex, where they were narrowly defeated, score of 1-0. Congratulations, Dunlap, on their good season as well. Thousands of runners and spectators crowded the downtown Peoria streets Saturday for the 52nd Steamboat Classic road races. Streets were closed for half the day on a warm and humid Saturday as runners serpentined the streets. Event coordinators said this year's run was made easier because of the change of several downtown thoroughfares from one-way to two-way streets. I don't understand how that matters, but okay. If that's what they want to do, that's fine with me.
You know, for the first time, I left church. I go to First Methodist at Hamilton and Perry, and normally I go down to Madison, turn left to Fayette, and then Fayette to the ramp together. And I finally decided I can now go to Jefferson instead of turning left. But I will tell you, doing it for the first time, as you see traffic coming from North Jefferson toward you,
You're right.
Have they read the road signs?
I told you I've seen people sitting on, they've got their folding chairs, they're sitting there waiting for an accident.
Yes, they
Just
are.
want to sit there
That's
and
right.
watch, see what happens, and then point and laugh at you.
I think AMT might have an ambulance parked there
Well, they'd be
at the
smart
New
to do
Hope
that.
Apartments, just in case.
Stanley Cup Finals resume tomorrow night at 7:30 between the Golden Knights and the Hurricanes. The Golden Knights lead that series 2-1. You can watch the game on ABC, CBS, TVAS, or call Roger and go to his house and watch it.
Why not?
NBA Finals resume tonight at 7:30 between the Spurs and the Knicks, where the Knicks lead the series 2-0, and the best of 7. The game will be on ABC and ESPN. And one final story, Roger, if I can get to it here real quickly. A local man named David has won the lottery, but he couldn't produce his ID. Now he's just known as Dave.
Come on.
That might not be the best one I had.
No.
Okay.
That's
All
a
right.
real
Well, I'll
donor.
cross that one off. I won't use it again next week.
What do you think, judges?
Oh, which one is it?
Yeah. Hey, let's brighten the corner where you live with Mr. Weather. It's on the line, Kyle Varnold. Good morning, Kyle.
Hi, Kyle.
Good morning, Roger and friends. How are we this cloudy, overcast, thunderous morning?
Yeah. How was your trip to Wisconsin?
Oh, it was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. We had great weather. I'm sorry it was so humid and sticky here, which we talked about on Friday's show. I certainly felt the humidity this weekend. If not Friday, you definitely felt it on Saturday and Sunday if you stepped outside. But in Wisconsin, it was upper 70s, sunny skies,
yeah.
dry air, cool nights. It's just God's country, man. It was great weather and always great to see the family. And I got a great birthday gift about 1:30 on Friday, driving up through northern Illinois, almost the Wisconsin border. And I get the alert on my phone, and I just had to turn into Chicago Sports for Talk Radio. And boy, it was like a funeral just happened when the board of directors voted to move forward with Hammond, Indiana. Happy birthday to me. I laughed all the way to Kenosha. It was fantastic. Yeah. We talked about it, Roger. We talked about it. And I know Secretary LaHood said, oh, no, they'll get them in Chicago. It'll be a done deal. They ain't going anywhere. Well, Mr. Secretary, you got the board of directors to talk to now.
Yeah, he missed that one, didn't he? Where exactly in Wisconsin did you go?
So I have family in Pleasant Prairie, so right across the border, and you know it because the grass is greener and the gas is $1 cheaper. And then we went and visited my best friend in Lake Geneva. So my best friend from Northern, we actually met at Northern. He's originally from Grays Lake, Illinois, but he married a Wisconsin girl from Germantown, Wisconsin, and they settled in Lake Geneva. And Lake Geneva is, it's a beautiful place to visit, but I wouldn't want to live there, especially on the weekends in the summertime, because traffic was pretty bad. It's hard to get anywhere in that small little town of 8,000 people, but it turns into 80,000 on the weekends in the summer.
Well, you have returned to hot and humid and muggy weather.
Yes.
Give us the bad news.
Goodness gracious, the bad news? You want the bad news or the bad news?
Yes.
So, well, the good news out of all of this, thanks be to God, rain. We got rain. We needed the rain. We got the rain. We're going to get more rain today, especially as the daytime hours continue, and we'll continue to see thunderstorms redevelop. Probably around 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, we'll see another wave of storms move through. Now, these storms, the most interesting thing, because it's on this pinwheel of energy, as this mid-level system passes very, very slowly. So we had this frontal boundary that stalled out just to the north of you, where we saw a lot of thunderstorm and rain activity over the weekend. But what we talked about Friday is how we said, hey, some people are probably going to miss out on a lot of this rain. And that's exactly what happened. Most of the showers and storms stayed near that frontal boundary across northern Illinois. And we could see it from Wisconsin looking south at all the high clouds as we sat in sunny skies and 70-degree weather. And you guys were all baking down here in your 90s. There was heat indexes approaching. But what we saw is that frontal boundary that it's finally starting to move off, but it's not moving off in the direction we want it to, because it's not going to get cooler here. It's going to get warmer here once these showers and storms finally clear out later this evening, and then really, really warm temps tomorrow and Wednesday and Thursday. But Thursday, we have a cold front, a really dominant cold front coming out of Canada, and it's got a lot of energy to it, but a lot of impactful storms will be accompanied by it. And I think Thursday and Thursday afternoon is a time we need to be very, very aware of the skies, because I do think we'll see severe storms and most likely tornadoes. So very, very strong storms.
I'd like to hear that.
Thursday and Thursday afternoon, and maybe even Wednesday night, honestly. Depending on the timing of that frontal boundary, we might see a wave of severe storms coming out of Iowa, maybe possibly a derecho effect with really strong straight-line winds. It'll be very interesting to see what transpires in Iowa Wednesday to what arrives here later Wednesday night. But the real energy push will be on Thursday as those, what will be severe storms, move into the area.
Was that the bad news?
Well, no, the bad, in my opinion, is the heat and humidity, just oppressive heat tomorrow and Wednesday, and even into Thursday before the storms arrive, which is why you'll have the capped atmosphere Wednesday. The storms won't happen until the late night, overnight hours, and then finally that cap will break with that frontal boundary, that cold front, that dominant cold front, as it moves through on Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening. And then the weekend looks actually really decent for the most part. Much better than this past weekend. I think highs in the low 80s, cooler, drier skies. And then we look to be in the 70s next week for highs.
Yes, that's good.
Yeah.
Thank
More
you.
good
That's
news,
good.
yeah.
That's the good news, right?
Yeah. That is
That's
good
the
news.
good news. That's it. That's the good news. We got good news. We got bad news. We got everything in between. Thank you, sir, for your service to this great, great nation, the greatest in the world. If you have any, God bless you. I'm sorry that everyone had to sweat in a hangar to celebrate you and recognize you, but
No,
it was stifling.
It worked out nice.
It was very comfortable, Kyle.
I think you said people passed out.
No, that was.
No, that was
That was a couple.
that was during the Civil War. That was not this. No, Saturday's event was very, very pleasant. Now, let me ask you this. Of course, our good friend Mr. Weather, Kyle Varnold, has a 4-year college degree in meteorology, probably the best educated forecaster in the business. But he also has a degree, no diploma offered for his background in agriculture. And here's my question, because you were born and raised on a farm in Fulton County or Knox County, I forgot.
Knox County.
Knox County. That is, when you have humid weather and high, high temperatures, is that good for helping the crops to grow?
Yes, very, very much so. And the humidity only increases when the crops get past knee high. You get evapotranspiration occurs, which is essentially corn sweat. The corn acts as its own little micro atmosphere, micro weather, because you get that corn sweat, and that creates that humidity over the cornfields, roughly about 100, 150 feet up from the surface. But no, the moisture provided by the humidity, it certainly helps the corn grow. Sunshine helps the corn grow, but rain is the most important feature, and that's why we're so thankful for the rain that we did see over the weekend and the rain that we'll see later today, because it was getting a little scary, honestly. And when I was driving through northern Illinois, you know, I become my father. I look at the crops. The corn wasn't spouting like it is down here. Like, you didn't see the corn stems and the soybeans. You didn't see the green in the fields. You saw a yellow and a little bit of orange discoloration, and they definitely needed the rain. And, you know, the Lord works in mysterious ways, but northern Illinois, a majority of the rain over the weekend is that stationary front. That cold front became a stationary front, and then it stalled out over about I-80 for the most part.
Yeah, I know you're a good Christian, but I want to correct you. A lot of people say God works in mysterious ways. There's nothing mysterious about God. He works in wonderful ways, but there's no mystery to what he does.
Well, as a Catholic, I would say mysterious.
Okay.
Well,
as a Catholic,
There's definitely, they even use the word
in that before
at
you
Mass,
interrupt
right.
with your Methodist ideology here. We don't know what the Lord's going to do. The Lord has a plan, but he doesn't reveal it to us. So that's why we have the glorious mysteries and the luminous mysteries and the sorrowful mysteries. You know, God has a plan, but it's not revealed to us. We just have to endure and take it and be thankful for what's given.
Thank you
before you inject your Methodist ideology, I'm going to go on with my Roman Catholic Pope Leo backing here. So, yeah.
I like Pope Leo. I think I like.
I wish he'd stick out of politics, but I like him.
I like his brother better. His brother is a much nicer guy.
You like his brother is?
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Mm-hmm. Have you heard about his brother?
I don't know his brother.
Okay, oh, you're going to have to tell us.
I don't know him.
No, I just, every now and then, there will be a quote from his brother, seriously.
Oh.
You didn't know he had a brother?
Well, I didn't.
I know
Did
his
you
brother,
know?
but I don't know he's that popular.
Well, we do the best we can to bring you up to date. At any rate, thanks, Kyle. Glad you're back, and I know it's
Wait,
from
you're
the
going to leave it at
sound.
that?
What?
Don't.
You're going to leave it on a cliffhanger?
Don't
You're talking
encourage
about
him,
his
Kyle.
brother, but
Don't
Yeah.
encourage him.
Oh, but no, you didn't go anywhere with it, though. You just said, his
Well,
brother. but
that's
you
the
wouldn't say
story
who
of
it
my
is.
life. I'm not going anywhere. I hope not, other than back to Morton, and I'll think about the terrible weather that we're facing. What
No,
would
it's
you,
not
if you?
terrible.
Well, you said there's a chance for tornadoes.
On Thursday.
Yeah, but that's the Midwest. We have to deal with it. But we should be thankful. We got the rain, and we're going to get more storms. On Thursday for sure. Maybe even Wednesday night. So to me, the terrible part is the oppressive heat and humidity in store tomorrow and Wednesday. That to me is the terrible part.
Okay.
Because it's not going to be comfortable, especially for pets, small pets. Please remember your pets tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's very, very dangerous heat we're dealing with.
You know what's more important? That's important, but more important is keep an eye on your neighbors who are older and live alone.
Yeah.
That's very important.
What time do you want us to come over to your house,
So
Roger?
make sure you call me every now and then. Thanks, guys. I love you too. And you
We
know,
do care about you, Roger.
let me remind you, there are laws in Illinois about
Elder abuse?
Yeah.
I think you're
And
right.
You're right on the edge, Johnny.
Wait a minute, I fall into the same boat you are.
He slid a Johnny in on you too, yeah.
That's right, Roger. That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kyle, God loves you, and so do we.
Take care, Kyle.
Take care.
See you, Kyle.
Enjoy this week, and thank you so much again for your service, sir.
You betcha.
Congratulations, and thank you for serving this great nation. And congratulations to Mike Dentino on Golden Tempo. Commandment came in just a horse shy, but no, it's all good, and I hope you guys have a great week, and please stay hydrated, and please avoid outdoor activity between 1 o'clock and 5 o'clock tomorrow and Wednesday.
Okay, I'll be in the house or at the movie theater, right?
And this portion of our program featuring Kyle Varnold has been brought to you by Fortner Insurance.
There you go.
And that's it.
Bye, Kyle.
Bye, Kyle. Have a great day. Let's get into the late-breaking news. This is a great time to consider buying your next home. Realtor Kathy Reynolds of HomeSmart, eager to help you search the marketplace. Kathy is experienced and has helped countless couples, families, and individuals find their dream home. She's available to talk about the exciting opportunities in real estate and buying a home or selling a home. And you can reach Kathy today at 309-696-2162. With the headlines, here's Terry.
Well, the first story this morning is about Peoria's retiring Major General Daniel McDonough of the United States Illinois Air Guard. They held a retirement ceremony Saturday afternoon for General McDonough in one of the spacious C-130 hangars at the 182nd Airlift Wing. General McDonough was honored for his years of military service that started in 1986, and he ended as Assistant Adjutant General of the Illinois Air Guard in Springfield. During that time, McDonough totaled over 5,600 flying hours with close to 700 combat hours in the cockpit of not only the C-130 aircraft, but also the Dragonfly OA-37 and F-16 fighter jets. The native Peorian was deployed 5 times to Iraq as part of Operation Enduring Freedom and 4 times to Bagram Air Base in Afghanistan. Speaking of the Middle East, things are not going well. For the first time in weeks, Iran has resumed military action against Israel as the country continues to block efforts by President Trump to achieve a peace agreement. Israel reports Iran fired a limited number of missiles which were intercepted. The all-clear was sounded, but schools today have been canceled as a precaution. The missile attack came after Israel allegedly conducted airstrikes against Hezbollah on the outskirts of Beirut, Lebanon. President Trump has urged Israel not to respond, which perhaps signals a widening rift between Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Police are searching for 2 gunmen who shot at each other, wounding as many as 12 bystanders, attending a street festival in Toledo, Ohio, Saturday evening. The festival was canceled, motive for the shooting as yet unknown. Former Jeopardy host Mayim Bialik has revealed she suffered serious medical repercussions after taking a single injection dose of the weight loss drug GLP-1. The TV host said she had to take IV fluids in response to gastrointestinal symptoms she called explosive. Bialik said she has also been challenged for years with depression. We heard from Dr. Gene Sidler earlier this morning, and he said in most cases the weight loss drugs are safe. There could be a small percentage of people, like apparently Mayim Bialik, that they are dangerous. So definitely do it only under a doctor's supervision.
Just stop eating. That's the safe way, isn't it?
Oh, that's
Well,
hard
you
to
can
do.
eat, but be careful what you eat.
That's right. In local news, firefighters from Peoria Heights and Peoria were called to put out a house fire in the 900 block of East Highland Avenue. Faulty electrical wiring was the apparent cause of the fire, which did about $15,000 damage that also caused the resident to find new lodging. The Peoria Proud community held a celebration in Glen Oak Park yesterday. The Pride Month event brought out a large crowd for the family cookout. It was the 12th annual get-together. There was also a large turnout for the celebration of the life of Peoria firefighter Zeb Gardner at the Premier Event Center on Dries Lane. His wife and our dear friend Hetty Elliott greeted friends who attended to honor Zeb, who died at the age of 57. He was a member of the Peoria Fire Department for 30 years. Our condolences to Hetty and her family. And those are the headlines, Roger.
Thank you, Terry. And now a check of the weather brought to you by Steve Sink. He's a managing partner of PHX Affiliates. Steve has been a business broker for over 20 years, assisting his clients confidentially and professionally for the sale or purchase of a business, maybe both. More information available from Steve Sink, one of the really nice guys in our community at PHX Affiliates. You can reach him by phone at 309-696-8508. Well, boys and girls, we're under a flood watch until 1 a.m. tomorrow morning, and for good reason. Lots of rain. I understand there was a highway up in northern part of central Illinois that was closed for a time. I believe Route 40 near I-80. I think I heard that late last night. Anyway, more rain today, high 82. Showers continue tonight with a low 70. Tomorrow, partly sunny and hot, and a high of 90 with a heat index of 102. We didn't talk to him being Carl Varnold, about heat indexes, so I guess we're going to get into that later. How about Wednesday? Sunny, windy, and hot, 92. Thursday, mostly sunny, afternoon showers. The high Thursday, 90. Friday, only 88, so a cool spell. And Saturday, sunny and 87. That cold spell continues. And a chance for showers Saturday. Right now, we're at 75 degrees. And that's your live weather report this morning. And let's have our pet tip of the day.
Today's pet tip is brought to you by Peoria Pet Crematory of Peoria and Lewiston, providing final care for family pets, large and small, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their phone number is 713-1898. That's 713-1898. More information is available at peoriapetcrematory.com.
Pet lovers are dedicated to their animals, all species from horses to turtles and of course cats and dogs. If you are a pet lover, learn these little known, somewhat amazing facts about your pet. Does your dog ever sound like she's turning into a goose, an intermittent honking cough, or a choking when excited? The trachea, or windpipe, is normally a rigid tube carrying air from the upper respiratory system into the lungs. It is made up of C-shaped rings of cartilage connected by muscle and covered by a thin membrane. As pets age, these rings can weaken, causing the trachea to flatten. When this happens, the membrane droops into the windpipe, causing the tickling sensation that induces a cough. Or when excited, they suck air so quickly that the membrane closes the airway. This defect that causes the cartilage rings to weaken is hereditary in many small and toy breed dogs. It can occur in these small dogs at any age. Obesity and respiratory infections such as kennel cough or pneumonia, exposure to irritants like cigarette smoke or dust, and heart enlargement are often secondary problems that affect or worsen the tracheal collapse. For many pets, resolving the secondary problems will also resolve the clinical signs of tracheal collapse. For overweight pets, shedding extra pounds will help. If you are a smoker, you may have to use an air filter system in your home to help your pet breathe easier, or quit smoking. This whisker of information has been made possible by a grant from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting in partnership with Spot, Saving Pets One at a Time, and KSBR Studios. Produced by Joseph C. McGuire and theme music by Stuardo Glasser.
Today's Pet Tip has been brought to you by Peoria Pet Crematory of Peoria and Lewiston, providing final care for family pets, large and small, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their phone number is 713-1898. That's 713-1898. More information is available at peoriapetcrematory.com.
Thank you, Louis Linder. Our pet tip of the day. 75 degrees, if you're just joining us. We're talking with retired Major General Dan McDonough. And I must confess, being an Army guy, wasn't real familiar with the rankings. I didn't know between Brigadier General and General, is there such a thing as a General?
Yeah.
There is a rank of Major General. Major General is higher than Brigadier General.
Right.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, what's after Major General?
Then Lieutenant General.
And that's higher?
That's higher. And then a 4-star is just General. So when you refer to yourself as General, you have to, or somebody refers to you as General, you're kind of, stolen valor, if you will, because I'm missing a few stars to actually just be referred to as General. But that, it's just like anything else. They call you Colonel, they call you General, whatever. But yeah, there's Brigadier, and then Major General, and then Lieutenant General, and then General. That's the 4-star.
I see. And you are Major General.
Major General, yeah.
Was there a ceremony for the promotion to Major General?
Yes, there was. Yeah, and you were
Did we
invited
go
to
to
stiff
that?
me like you always did.
I was there.
Oh, okay. Well, at my
Just
age, I
kidding.
forget. I don't even buy green bananas anymore. So it is a challenge. We were asking off the air, and I'll ask you on the air, of all the places you've flown to, what would you say was your favorite, the one you really enjoyed?
Well, if you're talking about cities, Dubai is just an incredible. Just the architecture there, and just that city is just absolutely amazing. It's very, very hot over there, and, so obviously the city has got a lot of really cool stuff, but it's absolutely gorgeous town. But if you talk about places that I was able to fly in that airplane, and speaking of the C-130, where I mentioned Era Carrera is just a tiny little strip out in the middle of the Amazon, and the forest, or the jungles of the Amazon, and it was a radar site that they were using to track drug trafficking in our fight against the drug war. And so there typically would be about 10 or 15 people there, and so obviously the only way into this place was by airplane. There were no roads. There was no. It might as well have been an island, and so you could fly for hours around the Amazon and not see a thing, just trees.
Really?
And so we eventually made our way in there, and we landed, and then we got to these people. We'd shut the engines off, and they said, "You got to go see the site here. This is one of the coolest places on earth." And so at the end of this strip was a cliff. And literally about 100 feet from the end of the runway was this 500-foot just drop off into this raging river that was probably maybe a half mile across, but this enormous river. I don't know what river it was, but if you made the wrong step, you would certainly fall to your death. But it was such a neat thing. And then as we flew in, we saw this river and thought, man, we better make sure we put this thing. We don't land short because we're going to hit the side of this cliff.
Yeah.
And then taking off the other direction, taking off over that. It was just really neat. And the special thing about that was just realizing that how few humans had ever seen that spot of the earth, just because there's just no reason to ever be there, and there's no way to get there. So.
In all your flights, and boy, you covered a lot of mileage and a lot of miles and distances and countries. How about Europe? Did you ever fly any trip to Europe?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. We were there quite a bit. There was an operation back in probably the early 90s where we used to, they called it the Delta Squadron. We used to go to Germany, and we would do rotations there where the Air National Guard would go in and kind of augment the active duty just to allow them to have some time off and just to carry the load, if you will. And so we would go to Germany and near Ramstein Air Force Base, which is by the old Simbach, if you remember Simbach back in those days. And then just traveling, and that was a neat mission because it kind of a low threat. The nice thing about the C-130 is you were always going somewhere and stopping at a place where maybe you could have a nice meal and have a drink or two, and then get a night's rest, and then take off and go back and go to some other part of the world. So yeah, we got to see a lot of the world.
Yeah. Well, one of the reasons I bring it up, of course, Saturday was June 6th, and as we all remember, that was the anniversary of the invasion of Normandy.
Right.
And we did give recognition and remember June 6th in Normandy and the invasion. And I thought today we'd kind of close the program by revisiting Normandy, and particularly in 1984 when President Ronald Reagan went to Normandy, and he gave a speech, and in remembrance of those who lost their lives and served in the invasion of Normandy, we play the words of President Ronald Reagan on June 6th, 1984.
We stand on a lonely, windswept point on the northern shore of France. But 40 years ago at this moment, the air was dense with smoke and the cries of men, and the air was filled with the crack of rifle fire and the roar of cannon. Here in Normandy, the rescue began. At dawn on the morning of the 6th of June, 1944. 62 of the Rangers who scaled the cliffs there at Pointe-aux-Hope, now back 40 years later to the scene of their heroic action. These are the boys of Pointe-aux-Hope. These are the men who took the cliffs. It was a very moving experience. They were what General Marshall called our secret weapon, the best damn kids in the world. Where do we find them? Where do we find such men? And the answer came almost as quickly as I'd asked the question. Where we've always found them in this country. On the farms, the shops, the stores, and the offices. They just are the product of the freest society the world has ever known. Someday, Liz, I'll go back, said Private First Class Peter Robert Zanetta of the 37th Engineer Combat Battalion and 1st Assault Wave to hit Omaha Beach. Lisa Zanetta Hen began her story by quoting her father, who promised that he would return to Normandy. She ended with a promise to her father, who died 8 years ago of cancer. I'm going there, Dad, and I'll see the beaches and the barricades and the monuments. I'll see the graves, and I'll put flowers there just like you wanted to do. I'll feel all the things you made me feel through your stories and your eyes. I'll never forget what you went through, Dad, nor will I let anyone else forget. And Dad, I'll always be proud. through the words of his loving daughter, who is here with us today. A D-Day veteran has shown us the meaning of this day far better than any president can. It is enough for us to say about Private Zanetta and all the men of honor and courage who fought beside him 4 decades ago. We will always remember.
Ronald Reagan, President of the United States. You had some thoughts about that invasion, did you not, Dan?
Of what now?
You had mentioned someone in your family.
Oh yeah. So my dad, actually my mom and dad both lost members of their families in World War II, and my dad's brother was killed in Normandy.
I watched one of the movies about the invasion of Normandy, and it was. I had a hard time believing that our leaders approved the plan, because there were so many who didn't even make it to the beach. That the German fortifications, we bombed the crap out of them, but apparently we didn't bomb them enough for that that matter.
What a turning point in the war, though. Had that not happened, I mean.
Oh yeah, we might all be speaking a little German.
Yeah, that's right.
At this particular time. What was the worst place you landed other than Iraq and Afghanistan?
Well, you take that out, I don't know. There were plenty of places over there that I thought, boy, I'd keep those engines running. I don't want to stay here another minute. But well, I don't know, other than the anything that started with Fort normally was a place that I didn't want to stay, meaning anything that belonged to the Army. That's kind of like I said before, making light of that, the competition between all of the armed services. The Air Force bases are always pristine and nice. And of course, that's what a pilot sees. That's where we make all of our money in the Air Force, is airplanes flying off of beautiful runways and that kind of stuff. And then sometimes you get to the other services where their priorities are not necessarily their airfield. So a lot of the Fort, whatever it may be, probably Fort Polk down in Louisiana, that may be one of the more rustic, is a nice way to say it.
That's a nice way to put it. The old joint, for that matter.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming in. More importantly, thanks for your 39 and a half years of service on behalf of the United States of America. We're proud of you, and God bless you for spending most of your adult life defending this great country of ours.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, you bet.
It's always fun.
I'm gonna hold you to it.
Yeah.
When that phone rings, and it has my phone number there, don't hang up. Okay.
I'll answer it every time.
All right. Thank you. God bless. And God bless America. And remember, God loves you, and so do we. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day today.